SiriusXM.
Leafs Game Night live from Scotiabank Arena. Jim Taddy and Josh Polk from The Athletic. Josh is from The Athletic. I'm not. I'm not very athletic at all.
No, don't sell yourself short. I've heard you're a very good golfer.
Yeah. That's
something like
the
that.
peak of athletic capabilities right there. So the Penguins and the Leafs doing battle. Obviously we've worked out all the technical stuff. We talked about the crawl into the playoffs by Pittsburgh, Detroit, Philadelphia, Washington, the Islanders, and I guess all you have to do is win 4 straight and you're in. Easier done than said, obviously. So in terms of, we talked about a shutdown line. Well, how would you rate the Tavares line lately?
Well, Sheldon Keefe thinks he's onto something there with that line in terms of their ability to neutralize the opposition's best threats. Look, I just think you need a few things to have that kind of line work really well. You need a defensive acumen, of course. You need a little bit of speed if you're chasing the game a little bit, but then you need to, some offensive upside as well. It's a hard thing to kind of come across. I like that Sheldon Keefe is kind of utilizing John Tavares in a little bit more of a defensive role. I think he understands, and if you're John Tavares, good on you for accepting any kind of assignment that you have. But listen, I think this is where the Leafs really miss Calle Yarncroc, and I think it also speaks to the fact that as excited or as excited is one word, as interesting as these lines kind of look right now, Sheldon Keefe said this morning, we're going to be a very fluid team. And what the lines look like, the day before Game 1, on Game 1, it's not necessarily the way the lines are going to look at the end of Game 1. That's a hallmark of Sheldon Keefe's tenure here with the Leafs. So I think he's still going to be fighting towards kind of what his optimal lineup looks like. It also depends on the state of the game, right? I think we're going to see Ryan Reeves in Game 1 against the Panthers.
Yep.
I'm ready to call it. I was ready to book hotels in Florida last night. I think we're there, right?
Yeah.
But what happens in Game 1, the way the game unfolds in Game 1 might be different from Game 2. Maybe Sheldon Keefe needs a little more offense and brings in Nick Robertson. But I just think, at least for the beginning of the series, you need a really structured, tight defensive line. One that can bring some energy as well. So I think that could be a Calle Yarncroc, John Tavares, Bobby McMahon type line where you feel a lot of trust in that line. And I think that's something that is weighing on Sheldon Keefe as well.
Here's Coach Keefe on how the Tavares line is matched up against the opposition.
I think John's really all season long has done a terrific job of managing his game and managing the game when he's out there, which tends to make it harder on the opposition that way. And in my experience, when John's been given a responsibility and particularly with matchups, he takes it very serious. He's very committed to it. I think he respects the opposition a lot, and when I say that, it's meaning that his decision making is really sound, and that he won't push or overdo offense. He'll respect their game and make sure he's in good spots defensively. Tends to control the game a little bit better for us that way. Well, that's part of it, and the other part is we just tried Austin in a different, with a different look and feel, where he a lot of times has to take that responsibility on, and it's been a little bit different that way. But John, over my time here, when tasked with that, and then when that's how the matchups work out, he does a good job with it.
What benefits do you see of drawing an opponent that's fighting for its playoff life here?
Well, I just think it gets your attention, right? You're going to be in for a game tonight. The challenge, of course, is going to be on us to match their urgency level and the competitiveness level. So that's going to be it, really, and that's what we talked about this morning, is knowing that the other team's coming in here with a real purpose, and our purpose has to remain in playing a good, sound game and doing it in a game that means a lot to the opposition, and we have to pull that same meaning out of it.
Knowing some of the people over there on and off the ice, you're not surprised that they are making a good run here at the end, putting it together to try and get a playoff spot?
No, I don't follow it all that closely, but each time we've been been preparing to play Pittsburgh throughout the season, you look at it and see that, they're doing a lot of really good things as a team, and it hasn't always, fallen into place for them. But not surprised that they've had a push here with the leadership that they have, on the ice, and the culture that they have over there, and makes a lot of sense. You look at their team and you look at their players, the guys who drive the bus for them, and it's good to see them making a push and making things very interesting. And it's a good challenge for us here tonight, but obviously we want to do our part to make it hard on them.
Coach Keefe getting set for the Pittsburgh Penguins, Sidney Crosby and company. And what you said earlier about the versatility of that forward unit, we thought they had that in the past, but really they do have it this year. And so, what sort of puts a lot of pressure on the coach to find the right mix and sort of respond the right way to a negative scoreboard.
You can do that because William Nylander is having the best year of his career, right? In the past, I think maybe you feel you have to pair Nylander, with a Tavares, with a Matthews. But this season, he's shown he's able to drive a line on his own.
I think that when we were talking about those top four forwards, they had to be in a certain spot.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
If it didn't mesh, then there was a problem.
This year, it's not a problem.
No.
Right? What's really intriguing to me is how, and this could change. To preface this could very well change. But what's alarmingly interesting to me is how Sheldon Keefe feels he doesn't need to pair Mitch Marner with Austin Matthews for Austin Matthews to have success.
Right.
To me, that says a few things. It says Sheldon Keefe has more confidence spreading out his offense. Two, it just speaks to the fact that Austin Matthews' game has grown so much that if even you were on his right wing, he'd probably still be able to net 50.
Well, I'm sure, yeah. If somebody else was there, he'd get 75 or 80. But, yeah, no, I know what you're saying. They found different levels of the game, and I think you would apply that to Matthews, Marner, and Nylander.
Well, I guess I like, too, the idea of building up Max Domi and Tyler Bertuzzi this close to playoff time. These are players that struggled at the beginning of their tenure. They've really, really found their game. To me, Sheldon Keefe putting them on the top line this close to the playoffs suggests he's really trying to push them into fifth gear, right? He's really trying to, inject them with the confidence and the ice time to give them the ability to say, we know you can be difference makers when it matters. This is why Tyler Bertuzzi in particular, this is why you were acquired for playoff time.
Yep.
Right? So we're going to put you in the most optimal position to succeed. And that's what we're seeing right now with this top line. I don't know if that top line is going to stick for game one, but Sheldon Keefe at least right now is just pushing them towards the level of success that he wants them to have.
I would be really not concerned at all about the starting lineup or the grid, the starting grid for game one, because I would suggest to you that might be the only game you see it that way, because they've got so many options that's a first look, and if it doesn't work, then it gets changed, or if it works, you keep it until it doesn't work, and at some point that's going to happen.
But at some point, I think that some point, again, I know we keep bringing up, but I think that some point is going to be Calle Yarncroc coming back. They've tried him before at center, doesn't work. So when he comes back and you, I guess, take Pontus Holmberg out of the lineup, you have a hole
or
third
drop
line
him
center.
down to Reeves' spot.
Sure,
yeah.
That's possible, but you still need a third line center.
Right.
I find it concerning that if they do plan on putting Max Domi there, which I think he can be fine in, they're waiting this long to kind of do that.
Yeah.
I think you want to get to a point, ideally the last week of the season, where you have everything as close to in place as possible. But, I guess that counters what I said before, but still, you have all these moving pieces, right?
Yep.
I think Sheldon Keefe is going to start with what he knows has worked really well for him. And right now we're seeing that in the top line. Right now we're certainly seeing that in that third line as well.
Well, let's be honest here. If it's against the Florida Panthers, you know that they're going to hit you until they don't want to do it anymore. So how do you contend with that?
Yeah, the Florida Panthers are arguably the best forechecking team in the NHL.
Yeah.
I thought, that last week's win against them did a lot for the confidence of the team, but you still have to know that there's going to be just another level that they're going to hit. So again, doesn't this kind of remind you how important it is to have that kind of shutdown line, a line that can contain.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that, but I don't see it.
Maybe you need to inject a little more offense in the fourth line, because if you're going to play that fourth line a little bit more and you're going to use them as, a defensively minded line, do you move Connor Dewar up and do you put a little more offense down there? I think the idea of we've talked as well about how the Leafs have never had this kind of depth. They've never also been able to, use the term, quote unquote, roll four lines. They haven't been able to do that. I wonder if that's something that Sheldon Keefe is inching towards.
Well, that would make perfect sense. There's any number of people you could put on that fourth line. We're talking Yarncroke, Gregor, and Robertson aren't playing tonight for different reasons. Any one of them could go in there.
Yeah, Noah Gregor certainly remains the odd man out here. He hasn't scored in a long time. Nick Robertson, again, is a player that we're just going to keep talking about in Toronto as long as he's here because of that offensive pop he can provide.
Yeah.
Right? His propensity that we've seen as of late to score big, timely goals, it feels like he has a big playoff goal in him. The problem, when you talk about putting all these pieces together, he needs to play with good players as well.
Yeah.
He's not the kind of player that can score greasy, ugly goals like Tyler Bertuzzi. You can't put him on a fourth line.
He's going to score in a shot.
Right. So you need to play him alongside good players, and that's where it gets tricky, because theoretically you just say, well, plop him on the fourth line.
Yeah.
Why not? David Kampf can't feed him passes the way that, a John Tavares or a Pontus Holmberg can. That's where it gets really tricky.
Well, and let's be honest, if you look at a Stanley Cup winning team, that fourth line does produce goals.
You need to find some offense there. I think that's part of the reason they acquired Connor Dewar. He had 10 goals in like 50 games, right? So you probably feel you can get a little bit more then. Hasn't showed as much offense. I think he's looked fine in Toronto in the role that he's filled. But you need something else there.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
Well, it's not anybody that we're looking at on the starting grid, is it? Is there somebody you drop down there? I don't see that.
Well, interesting you say that. Matt Nyes has seen his ice time really, really fall lately. And I think that's for a number of reasons. He hasn't played as much on special teams.
Yeah.
But part of me wonders if Sheldon Keefe has him in mind for kind of a fourth line role.
Yeah.
Because he's a player that doesn't necessarily need to play with really, really offensively minded players to produce. I think he has those greasy goals in him. He has the size.
Yeah, he does.
So part of me wonders if Sheldon Keefe has that in his back pocket.
So Camp Dewar and Nyes on the line.
Listen.
And somebody else goes up with Holmgren and Nylander, if that's the way they are, and that could be Yarncroke.
Yeah, and that would see Ryan Reeves coming out of the lineup.
Yeah.
But I just think that, like Matt Nyes, if you look at how his ice time has dropped, this is a player that I think is in really good spirits and he's healthy, but he's played a lot of hockey in his first season. Right, so he could be building towards seeing his role reduced.
Well, we're a week and a half away from this, so we'll see what happens. We'll set up the opening face-off for you. Pittsburgh in town tonight. That's next. This is Leafs Game Night on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
This is the sound of medicine. When you stay at a Ronald McDonald House, close to your sick child, family is medicine. And right now, it's helping Ryan battle leukemia. We need your help to keep families together. Please donate today at rmhc.ca.
Spring is Nissan's time to shine. Nissan Sentra's bold new front end means it always arrives in style. And with an intelligent around view monitor, you can be sure you're always making the scene, coming or going. During Nissan's Spring into Savings event, lease the redesigned 2024 Sentra from 3.99% for 24 months. Offer includes a 3% rate reduction. SVCVT for $257 monthly. Conditions apply.
Galleria Borghese, buongiorno.
Hi, do you have guided tours today?
Sì, ma certo. We have today at 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30.
Imagine having Europe all to yourself during the Air Transat off-season promo. Book your flights to Europe starting at $549 at airtransat.com. Conditions apply.
6:30.
Air Transat. Travel moves us.
Breaking story from Alpine News Network. Sandra and Kabir are celebrating 50 years of marriage by turning their boring bedroom into a spicy one. Oh my. Alpine Credit sent a super strength hero to help with a home renovation loan. New floors, windows, a heart-shaped button that plays this tune. Okay, I think that's quite enough. Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. Just for license 12616.
So, on a day when the moon blocks the sun, we have to ask what else can be done. Sid and the Penguins are here desperately looking for 2 points and a chance at a playoff spot. Their mission is twofold, the final wildcard spot or third in their Metropolitan Division. In any game the Leafs play comes with the automatic question, will Austin Matthews add to his goal-scoring totals? Well, let's find out. Molson Canadian Leafs hockey starts now.
It's time for Molson Canadian Leafs hockey on TSN 1050 and the Leafs Radio Network. The Leafs live here.
Oh, yes, they do. Welcome to Scotiabank Arena. Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins here tonight. Jim Taddy alongside Josh Cloak from The Athletic and Joe Bone and Jimmy Ralph in the background working on their accounts and descriptions. The starting lineup is brought to you by Molson. Whether it's Canadian Ultra, Export, or Excel, there's a Molson with your name on it. This is exactly as it was Saturday night. Matthews centering Domi and Bertuzzi, Tavares between Marner and McMahon, Holmberg centering Nylander and Nyes, Camp centering Reeves and Dewar, and on the blue line the pairings are Riley DeBushkin, Benoit McCabe, Gio Brody. Sammy starts in goal. What do you make of all that?
I think they played really, really well in Montreal. Great finish to the game, and I think that's something that Sheldon Keefe has in mind here is just, getting through these last few games. It sounds quite, boring, but Sheldon Keefe was asked what he's kind of expecting through these last. Just get through them. There's a few things they want to work on as a team, but I think the goal here is to just finish. So you don't want to mess with too much. Right? I think you can do that come playoff time when you can change your team as the game dictates. But right now, it's just about head down, get through these games healthy.
What I like about the Leafs is we talked about roster versatility, different combos, but it always tracks forward. Matthews now playing with Domi and Bertuzzi has found another part of his game. Nylander playing with Holmgren and Nyes is new, but he's had that type of season where that just adds to the Leafs roster, and he's at a point in his career where he's not going to be offended by playing on the third line. He brings something more to the table. Here's Coach Keefe and what he's seen from Nylander's development in almost 600 NHL games.
Yeah, I'd say just the consistency piece is really the biggest difference. I think he's always had the ability, to be a game breaker and make plays. He's just done it with greater consistency. The older that he's gotten, the more experience that he's gotten. Obviously, this season's been his best in terms of his production and such. And as he's found more consistency, his importance to the team has grown that much more. And especially in a season like this one, where we've had a lot of change and we've had a lot of different. A lot of different things we've had, from injuries and players trying to find their way that have come in, and really the way that he started the season especially got us through some tough times, and that just goes to show that he's on any given night is the player for us. He's not just one of the guys, but he's a lot of nights has been the player, and that's great to see, and he's done it more nights this year than I think he ever has, and shows up in the stats, but also shows up on the video side of it. And it's been great and fun to watch.
How would you describe Mitch's importance to the power play and the impact he can make coming back in that role now?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, you really felt it when we didn't have him. We had one power play the other night, but we lost the face-off off of it, and that first unit, only ended up about 30 seconds in time in the zone. So it was not a great time to get him back reintroduced, but just everything from the entry, his ability to enter there and having an additional right shot with his skill set in particular on the entry. And then it just allows us to be a lot more fluid with our movement and the different options you end up with in the zone. So, and then the other part of it is he's probably the most vocal guy that we have when it comes to the power play. And whether it's pregame and off the ice, or when we get a power play on the way to the face-offs or TV timeouts, whatever it is, Mitch usually is the guy that kind of pulls the group together and is giving some direction and kind of getting the guys focused in. So those are the little things that you don't necessarily see, but you definitely miss when he's not around. So there's a lot of things in addition to the skill set. So we're hoping here now we can get some power plays the remainder of the way. We can get that group really going. Obviously, they've spent a lot of time together over the years. But we've changed some different things throughout the season as we've gone here, and it's with the plan that we have. Mitch is an integral piece of it, and we certainly missed him when he wasn't there.
That's Coach Keefe. So Josh, this is a playoff game for the Penguins, isn't it?
It is, and with that in mind, I've got my eyes on Ilya Samsonov. He's looked really good as of late, but in his last 9 games, only 3 of those games have been against teams that are in a playoff spot. So you have a team here that is going to play aggressive offensively. How does Ilya Samsonov hold down the fort?
We'll keep our eyes on that. Come back after the first period and chat about it. Coming up next, the opening faceoff with Joe Bowen and Jimmy Ralph. This is Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
Sirius XM's 2024 NFL Draft Preview Show. Experts from NFL Radio, college sports radio, and fantasy sports radio analyze the top prospects in the NFL Draft, covering each player's time in college and how they'll transition to the National Football League. Touchdown, Washington! The Sirius XM Sports 2024 NFL Draft Preview Show. Wednesday night at 7 Eastern on College Sports Radio Channel 84 and NFL Radio Channel 88.
The Point with Boomer Gordon.
Andrew Burnett is your Jack Adams winner. 70 points in 52 games. You project that over 82, Jake. That's an 111-point pace. So they've gone head-to-head with the big boys of the West all year. Andrew Burnett inherited a new GM in Barry Trotz and a sinking payroll, and he's got this team playing as well as any team in the NHL.
Point with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. Hockey 24/7 on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
This is the NHL. These are pros. You don't want guys to put good power play units on, don't take penalties. You don't want good power play units to score goals when you've given up a whole bunch, kill them. You don't like it, do something about it. If you want to reward your guys who had a good game with a chance to get some more goals and points, do it. If I was a coach, I wouldn't care. Who cares? Worry about your own team. Don't worry about mine.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and on your schedule with the Sirius XM app. NHL Morning Skate.
Andrew Burnett, head coach of the Nashville Predators. I think Roman Josi gets underrated nowadays.
I think maybe the consistency that he does it every year, you take it for granted a little bit. I mean, he's done everything in this game. His ability to raise his game is very unique. You know, I've been around some really good, great defensemen. He's right up there with them, and he does get overlooked.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. NHL Morning Skate.
The general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights, Kelly McCrimmon.
Vegas so quickly has become a place where players want to go.
Players appreciate that we're trying to win, and I think we've come to expect it. It's their livelihood and all of those things that go with it. So we try to do what we can to help that happen.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Toronto, they don't have a face card. Like, they don't have an ace. Morgan's a jack. They have so many non-face cards that these guys are going to have to bullpen by committee. Because the real truth is this. They got a good forward group. But if you don't defend against Boston and Florida, you're not seeing Boston or Florida in round 2. That's the exam, and the test will be on this defense.
The Power Play. Weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on MF.
Hey Toronto, I'm David Morsuti, host of the daily Toronto Maple Leafs podcast, Locked On Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network on the Sirius XM app. Every weekday, we bring you the latest Leafs news and analysis, break down all the action, including this game you're listening to right now, and preview the next one. We're giving you everything a Leafs fan could want, all in a daily 30-minute podcast. Download Locked On Leafs right now on the SiriusXM app, available with all trials and popular plans, or where you get your podcasts. Search Locked On Leafs.
The Leafs and the Pittsburgh Penguins collide here this evening, with playoff implications certainly riding heavy on the Pittsburgh bench. They are in the hunt, and an awful lot of people thought that was possible at the trade deadline, but it very much is. The starting netminders, Ilya Samsonov for the Maple Leafs, 22, 6 and 7, 3.03 and an .893 save percentage that has come a long, long way in this calendar year. And Alex Nedeljkovic, who along with Sidney Crosby have been the catalyst in the turnaround for Pittsburgh, 16, 6 and 6, 2.82 as we're underway. The puck down in the Pittsburgh zone. Knocked into the corner now for the Leafs and Marner. Trying to play it around back of the net. Letang got there first. Got it up on the wing for Drew O'Connor. And it's out into the center ice area. Marner turns it right back in over the line. Rink-wide pass to the far side. Bounced off the stick of Tavares as he was just getting into the slot. Long lead pass goes astray down into the Leaf end. Crosby taking Benoit to the boards efficiently. Now McCabe trying to punch it up the wall, had some difficulties, finds Benoit again with it, and the Leafs back in their own zone. Benoit had a little bit of a hiccup there, but managed to get it to his defense partner, who returns the favor, and the Leafs are getting their change in. Played back of the net, and that got messed up. And now here's McCabe for Nyes. Got it up on the wing. Nyes is going to be able to push it to the line, but doesn't get it out of the zone. Benoit and McCabe again, and then McCabe banking it off the boards. No one near it, and so that defense tandem is stuck out there, although a fresh set of legs in the forward line, but a faceoff coming in the Toronto zone nonetheless.
Yeah, and the thing is, with that pair, you got guys that work exceptionally hard, can be exceptionally physical, and can also have trouble getting the puck out of their own zone, as we saw there. We kind of saw everything that they bring you right in that one shift.
Leafs play the puck around back of the net, chipped into the corner, but the Penguins are onto it quickly. They get it back to the point, dished in by Malkin into the far corner. Raquel trying to free it up as it's drawn a crowd in that far boards area. Nyes is the lone defender out in front of the net, trying to keep an eye on Letang. The puck comes free, and a shot blocked, and now here's Malkin in on a wing, and a shot hit the side of the Leaf goal. Benoit trying to play it back into the corner. Pontus Holmberg can't come up with it. Around back of the net, Malkin was able to knock his man off the disc, but the Penguins doing a good job here of hemming the Leafs in. It's around back of the goal, and it'll be played off to McCabe, who will find an opening, and then Holmberg sends it back into the zone to allow a change to start. And mercifully, the Leafs finally get it to center and are going to play it in on a delayed, and that'll get a tired Jake McCabe to the bench. And it's whistled down on the offside on the delay, and so it's coming back out into the center ice area.
I think that's exactly why Max Domi played it, to make sure that they could get the line change in, although
now it's deliberate.
Did have the option to bail out, but because it's not an icing, you get that change in your own zone, although the face off to the left of Ilya Samsonov.
And the puck squirts to the right wing side. Domi will get it out, and a good hit there by Bertuzzi. And it's cleared back in by Drew O'Connor. O'Connor into the forecheck against Morgan Riley. This has got to be a desperate team in the white jerseys with the yellow and black trim. They are very much in the hunt, and a huge, huge game coming up against the Detroit Red Wings in their next action after tonight. Played in over the line for Crosby. Crosby with a shot from an angle, and it deflects and rolls to the far side, and Bertuzzi couldn't get it out. The Leafs have spent the first 3 minutes of the game in their own end, and they finally get it out at center and down to Pittsburgh territory. Penguins back there again. St. Ivany getting it up on the right side, and it's played in by Puljujarvi into the corner. Round back of the net, a centering pass, and it was just out of the reach. A point shot is blocked. Leafs don't get it out after Riley stopped that to the blue line. Ryan Shea keeping it in for Pittsburgh, and the Leafs turned it over but can't get it out. Penguins back into the slot area. Driving the net is Jeff Carter. Didn't get a shot away. Got it back to the net. Giordano plays into the corner. Camp trying to free it up. Got it to Ryan Reeves. Reeves pushes it to the blue line, and the Leafs Dewar finally gets it out at center ice, and the Leafs for the first time get it down into the offensive end with some control. Reeves in against the end boards. Tied up by St. Ivany. Not a lot of St. Ivany's in the game, in the league. This is the first one I can recall. At the point, a long shot goes wide of the net. Leafs get it back into their blue line area. Now shovel it in with Tavares getting it in there. McMahon and Marner on the ice with them. And it is played off now for Raquel, who gets it to Malkin in across the line. A drop pass and a shot. Went off the blocking glove of Samsonov and went wide. Puck is out into neutral ice and then brought in offside. And a face-off coming in the neutral zone. And we get a chance to introduce James Ralph Esquire, who has done absolutely nothing up to this point.
Well, my memory's better because I have already spoken tonight.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention.
I know.
Oh.
By the way, I was thinking when you said St. Ivany, remember Frank St. Marseille?
Yes.
Played a little bit with the St. Louis Blues.
Yes, from up northern Ontario way.
By the way, the irony with Pittsburgh getting back into the mix. They're 6-0-2 in their last 8. The first game of this 8-game point streak was when they blew a 4-0 lead in Colorado. Lost 5-4 in overtime. Think they're done for good, right?
Yeah.
Nope, that's when it turned around.
Puck back at the net. Here's Nylander curling out of the near corner with it. Nylander with a pass that went off a skate into the corner. Nyes back at the goal, rubbed out, but Nylander after it, but it comes free. And Riley Smith will skate it out at center ice. Diagonal shooting into the near corner. Morgan Riley got there first, but Riley was able to intercept, gets it back to the point. Erik Karlsson with a shot that was just wide. A rebound back of the net. A couple of Leafs onto the play. Good hit there by Benoit to knock his man down. Barges into the corner after it again to get it up on the wing, but it's not cleared. Karlsson at the point with a wrist shot coming, and it was deflected wide of the Leaf goal. Around the boards near side for Brian Rust. Rust trying to get away from the Leafs checking, plays it back to Karlsson again. Karlsson with a third shot on goal, and that was deflected over top of the net. Nylander didn't see it in the corner, and the Penguins with it again, trying to center as it comes into the slot. Grabbed off by Pontus Holmberg, and he gets it off the glass to center ice.
Boy, this is horrid.
Now a drop pass for O'Connor. Played into the far wall, and the Leafs just get it airmailed high to center ice, and it is Karlsson with it again. He'll play it off a stick into the Toronto zone. Leafs have been hemmed in, although, in fairness, they've allowed just 2 shots on goal. Shot by Brody into Pittsburgh territory. Nedeljkovic couldn't slow it up. Matthews after the loose puck got it to Domi, who centers in front of the goal. Here's Bertuzzi turning, centering pass, and Domi couldn't settle it down. It comes to the point. Here's Giordano with a shot in traffic, rebound! Knocked wide of the net by Bertuzzi. First scoring chance generated by the boys in the blue jerseys with the white trim. Off a skate and into the Pittsburgh zone. Nedeljkovic leaving it on the wall. Played around the boards and out to the line. Carter bodied there by Benoit. And the Leafs Camp back in his own zone as the Leafs are changing. Camp to center. Shot it in. Letang skates around back of the net. Got some help from Malkin to free it up. Played up on the wing then by Joseph. The puck around back of the net to the far side. Letang being bothered over there by a couple of Maple Leafs. He has it pinned up against the boards. Kicks it back of the net for Joseph. And Pierre-Olivier Joseph will return the favor. And Letang gets it ahead to Malkin. Malkin, bouncing puck to contend with, couldn't get it into the Leaf end. Michael Bunting, newly acquired, sends it into the Toronto zone. Bunting, of course, played for the Maple Leafs, the Scarborough native, for number of years on the wing with Austin Matthews. Around the boards, Marner cutting it off. Marner protects the puck well, works back towards the blue line. A pass off a skate to Tavares, and he couldn't get a shot at the net. Tavares in front for Marner, and a slap shot went over top of the goal. McCabe trying to keep it in. Marner does. McCabe then couldn't come up with it. Puck back at center ice. Marner unable to track it down. In come the Penguins in across the line with Lars Eller. Eller dropping it off. Bustinen gets it back to the point. Long shot by Carlson went wide. And the Penguins turn the puck over in the Leaf end. And the Leafs have finally gotten their legs underneath them a little bit after a big-time flurry over the first 4 minutes, maybe 5 of this period. Domi to the line and into the slot. Drop pass then for Bertuzzi from Matthews, didn't connect. And the Leafs have to go back in their own end to recover the loose puck. Rink-wide feed. Brought on now by Matthews. In for Bertuzzi. Tried to chip it in further, couldn't connect to Matthews, and played out and down the ice, and icing waved off by the linesman. We're all going to get home early tonight if that's the case. Played ahead now for Bertuzzi. A long backhand goes into the Pittsburgh zone. Rattled around the boards on the far side, and Bunting gets it out at center ice. Leafs play it right back in again off Bertuzzi to allow a change of players. Nylander on the ice, that line coming over the boards. Brought on by Malkin. In on the right side for Raquel. Raquel carries into the corner, back of the net for Malkin, bodied by McCabe. Back to the point, long shot, doesn't make it through. Far side, Shea with it again. He'll drop it off for Malkin. Pass with a shot, stopped by Samsonov. Malkin back of the goal, flipping it in front of the net. That was stopped, and a penalty coming. Bunting got upset coming through the crease, and is it Benoit going to the penalty box?
It might be Willie Nylander, but Michael Bunting may have slightly embellished it, but is able to draw the penalty. Not the first time he's done that in this building.
Benoit will get the penalty. The Leafs go to the penalty kill, and you're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Netflix is a Joke Radio brings you exclusive comedy specials and stand-up from Netflix's massive library from the world's biggest comedians.
He's Mick Jagger. I pitched him a joke and he went, "Not funny."
We give you unparalleled access to Netflix's top premieres. And join Tom, Papa and Fortune Feimster every day for interviews with the biggest names in comedy. Netflix is a Joke Radio Channel 93. Search comedy on the all-new SiriusXM app.
The Point with Boomer Gordon.
Andrew Burnett is your Jack Adams winner. 70 points in 52 games. You project that over 82, Jake. That's an 111-point pace. So they've gone head-to-head with the big boys of the West all year. Andrew Burnett inherited a new GM in Barry Trotz and a sinking payroll. And he's got this team playing as well as any team in the NHL.
Point with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
There is no competition in soccer quite like the UEFA Champions League. And it's on Sirius XM FC.
Kylian Mbappe delivering when it matters most.
The stakes are higher now in the knockout stage, where one goal can transform a club's trajectory.
Jude Bellingham's driving scores!
And one performance can turn a star into an immortal.
Erling Haaland has 5!
It's the Champions League knockout stage, and all the top matches are on Sirius XM FC 157 and the all-new Sirius XM app.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen, walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on SiriusXM.
Penalty Kill is brought to you by CMC Markets. Take your trading to the next level with $0 commission on stocks.
Well, the Leafs penalty kill have been better of late. 17 of 18 they've killed off in the last 6. The Penguins 31st in the NHL on the power play. Maybe the Leafs are the cure to their problems here.
Played in over the line. So they're the second worst power play in the league. Crosby, Malkin, Carlson, Letang.
Not unreal.
You and I should be able to get them to 30 if we just stood in front of the net, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. I think it's really simple.
Here's Carlson in over the line, sifts in, tried to send it in, but he had gone too far. He was almost at the goal line, and the Leafs are going to roll it out into the center ice area, forcing Malkin back to recover the puck. Played ahead for Rust. In over the line, shot around the boards to the near side. Bunting down the boards to Crosby. Now to Malkin, far side. One-timer in front of the net. Oh, and a pad save. And somehow it's stuck underneath the pad of Samsonov to stop play and bring a face-off in the Toronto zone with 1:02 to go in the power play. And that number 1 unit is going to remain out there for Pittsburgh.
Well, the irony of this date as well was that you that brought it up that, or Lance Hornby, I guess, brought it up that this is the anniversary of the Leafs clinching the playoff spot, beating the Pittsburgh Penguins here on a Saturday night. Curtis McElhinney coming in relief of Freddie Anderson.
Holy McElhinney?
Holy Freddie Anderson was hurt again.
Here's the Penguins in across the line. Malkin back to Carlson. Carlson returns it. It goes off a stick into the corner. Played up on the wing, but it is passed almost intercepted by the Leafs camp. A pass across is going to be deflected, but kept into the zone by Malkin. On the near side for Crosby. Crosby centers in front, a shot over top of the goal by Rust. The rebound back of the net. Back to Carlson at the right point. Fed around the boards. Crosby off or bunting stick, hammered on the boards, but Carlson is there to keep it in. Middle of the ice with a shot deflected just wide. Leafs trying to clear, but don't get enough on it. Kept in by Carlson. Carlson got away from Marner. Carlson to Crosby. Crosby trying to center, blocked by McCabe. McCabe back of the net trying to control it. Along the boards with 6 seconds left in the penalty. Back to the blue line, it goes Carlson to Malkin. In front of the net, turned over. The Leafs play it ahead. Benoit. Even though he had fresh legs, it was out of his reach.
Boy, Mitch Marner, though.
He thought about it.
Yeah, doesn't even have his eyes in the penalty box. But here's that sound, that ting, to let them know that the penalty is over.
Almost too many men on the ice for Pittsburgh. Leafs play it back into the neutral zone. Letang got it up on the left wing. Lyubushkin wipes out his man.
Oh, jeez.
Wow. Okay, well, Leafs have got a couple of real dandies coming their way. Referees tonight are, let's just give credit where credit is due. That was Garrett Rink. Chris Lee is the other. And Andrew Smith and Tyson Baker are the linesmen.
And we will eventually find out who did not use proper sunglasses to view the eclipse this afternoon.
Really? Oh, very good. No, I like that. No, that's very good.
Yeah.
You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
And now it's time for our Subaru weather report. So, Harold, what's it looking like?
Jim, it's a lovely spring day here on the beach. I came here for some solo time, like I do, but I got hungry instantly, so I went to Bob's Boardwalk Bistro when Bob says, "Sorry, cash only." Luckily for me, I always have a $5 bill stashed in my sandals, so I give it to Bob, and he says, "We don't accept foot money here." That's
Thanks,
how he
Harold.
talks. But now
Weather
I'm starving,
reports
and I'm
don't
looking
matter
for
when
something
you
to
drive a
eat.
Subaru. Visit your local Subaru dealer today and book a test drive during the all-weather drive event.
Breaking story from Alpine News Network. Ron is a teacher helping bright minds, but this time he needed help. Alpine Credit sent a cosmic superhero with a debt consolidation loan. She conjured a magic book, Debt Consolidation 101. Lesson 1, consolidate debt into one low monthly payment. Lesson 2, nothing. It's a short book. Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. Just for license 12616.
Well, right off the bat, I see you can claim this. And did your kids take any?
Put a certified chartered professional accountant on your tax return and watch the deductions roll in. Because the only thing sweeter than earning money is seeing that money come back to you. Vexit.com has the exact tax return services you need, done by a certified CPA. Get $100 off your tax return at Vexit.com. That's VEXXIT.com.
Wait, did you ever work from home?
Penalty kill brought to you by CMC Markets. Take your trading to the next level with $0 commission on stocks. A very weak boarding call against Lyubushkin, and the Leafs man short again.
I mean, you get these calls in the playoffs. Can you imagine? Everybody talks about what a battle it is.
Then Camp gets waved out against Crosby in the face-off circle, and Dewar has to move in. And Dewar scrums the draw. The puck goes back of the net. Brody tried to clear it out. It comes out in front of the net. A pass by Malkin and a shot. What a save by Samsonov on Crosby. He's trying to get his stick back, but it's back of the goal. Now here's Malkin to Carlson. Carlson to Crosby. Crosby holds. Got it loose into the slot area for Michael Bunting, who shot it wide. A rebound goes wide of the net. Samsonov can't get to his stick, and now the Leafs break it out on a 2-on-1. Here's Dewar in over the line. Dewar shoots, and it's off a stick and went completely wide of the goal. Crosby brings it right back in again. Crosby with a pass into the slot for Malkin. A pass deflected into the corner by Benoit. Benoit with a bigger hit on the boards than the penalized Lyubushkin had earlier, and no call. Played to the line but not out. Kept in by Pittsburgh. It bounces into the air, and Lyubushkin, or at least, Samsonov, is able to glove that, but what a save he makes.
Off Crosby. Incredible.
Crosby.
And you just mentioned Curtis McElhinney and the save he made, almost in the same spot of the ice. Same type of play, where Samsonov has to go quickly from his right to his left. It's further down towards the bottom of the circle. To the left, but a spectacular save by Samsonov to keep this game scoreless. 7-2 the shots favoring the Penguins.
Minute 3 in the power play. Smith gets it back to the point. Letang, second unit on here for Pittsburgh. Deflection goes over top of the Leaf goal. Far side for Raquel. He was knocked down. The Leafs are going to deflect it out at center ice, and it's down into Pittsburgh territory. Pontus Holmberg is out there on the penalty kill, and he's joined by Marner. Brought on by the Penguins. In on the left wing and into the corner. Rung around the boards, it'll find Carter at the near point. Carter keeps it alive to the near boards for Lars Eller. Back Eller down into the corner, centering pass. Blocked nicely there by McCabe. Puck on the near boards. Bouncing disc into the corner by Carter, centered in front, and unable to get a shot away. It comes back to the point. Lars Eller, near side. Raquel, glove knocked down. Puck still free in front of the Leaf goal, and a shot went just wide. Kept alive by Riley Smith. Smith to the far corner. 2 seconds left in the penalty. Back to the point. The shot goes high, and it goes high enough to reach the screen, and the Leafs have survived a couple of bad calls that resulted in power play opportunities for Pittsburgh. It is scoreless. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
They are among the greatest to ever play their sports.
Caitlin Clark is the all-time scoring leader.
They are legends and icons.
Larry Bird hit the shot with 2 seconds left. I don't know how he did it.
And you can hear them right now on the all-new Sirius XM app.
We are here with Iowa superstar Caitlin Clark.
I'm so focused on winning. It's never anything I ever take for granted.
Here comes Larry Bird, the Hall of Famer, and he just won Legend of the Year.
Legend of the Year, isn't that something?
For access to the game's greats, rely on the leader in sports audio, Sirius XM and the Sirius XM app.
The Point with Boomer Gordon.
Andrew Burnett is your Jack Adams winner. 70 points in 52 games. You project that over 82, Jake. That's an 111-point pace. So they've gone head-to-head with the big boys of the West all year. Andrew Burnett inherited a new GM in Barry Trotz and a sinking payroll. And he's got this team playing as well as any team in the NHL.
Point with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
There is no competition in soccer quite like the UEFA Champions League. And it's on Sirius XM FC.
Kylian Mbappe delivering when it matters most.
The stakes are higher now in the knockout stage, where one goal can transform a club's trajectory.
Jude Bellingham's driving scores!
And one performance can turn a star into an immortal.
Erling Haaland has 5!
It's the Champions League knockout stage, and all the top matches are on Sirius XM FC 157 and the all-new Sirius XM app.
The biggest name.
Put it between his legs! Shoots it! Score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Face-off in the Toronto zone. 5 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the first period. The Leafs have been outshot 8-2, and a lot of that built after back-to-back or during back-to-back penalties.
Yep, the Penguins, by the way, Alex Nedeljkovic, and the Pittsburgh goal who has taken over from Tristan Jarry now as the #1 goaltender. Do you know what his significance is to the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Nedeljkovic or Jarry?
Nedeljkovic.
All right.
Well, actually, both of them. We'll talk in a sec.
All right. Shot down into the Pittsburgh zone. Nedeljkovic couldn't slow it up. Leafs pinch there against Crosby. Around back of the net. Played up on the wing and off the glass. It's going to be sent to center ice, and hustling after it is O'Connor. He had it taken away, though, by Morgan Riley. Pushed ahead and in over the line. Played in along the boards by Marner. Marner comes out with it to the near side. Riley holds a pass in. A loose puck in front of the goal. Here's Marner with it again, and the shot went off a leg and went wide. Volleyball to center ice by Pittsburgh.
Missed that, didn't you?
Yes. Boy, he has eyes in the back of his head, doesn't he? And as soon as he gets the puck, everyone stops. They're afraid they're going to be showing up or whatever. It's true. I mean,
yeah.
He gets more time and space because of the fear pass. Now a centering pass, and it went off Matthews and went wide. Leafs keep the puck in at the blue line. Just kept in. All right, call me a liar for a second. It was offside. Don't you dare call me a liar for a second.
I would never call you a liar for a second. All right, so the significance is, #1, the Penguins and Tristan Jarry are the last team to shut out the Leafs, which is 2.5 years ago.
Yep.
As the Leafs still have that non-shutout streak going.
Yeah, shutout streak, yes.
And Alex Nedeljkovic, 2 years ago, late in the season with the Detroit Red Wings, surrendered Austin Matthews' 59th and 60th goals of the season.
All right, so there's some history.
There's some history.
Played back into the Leafs zone. Benoit goes to his defense partner. Brody works it up at center, but his pass is out of the reach, and Pittsburgh has it back under control in their own zone. Fed ahead at center and shot in now by Lars Eller. Round the boards it comes to the near wing. The Leafs get it freed up, and Matthews starts away. Matthews coming in over the line with a pass on the wing for Domi. Slipped into the corner, shot, backhand try, and then Bertuzzi with the rebound had to go wide. Back to the blue line it goes. Pass deflected in on goal. Matthews spinning, and it was knocked off his stick at the last second by Chris Letang, or he might have had an empty net to shoot at. Penguins in their own zone. Eller gets it out. Leafs turn it over and come away with the puck. And it is Riley regrouping back in Toronto territory with 3:20 to play in the period. Riley ahead for Nylander. Left wing side for Pontus Holmberg. Shot in on goal. And the try was to get a deflection from Nylander. I don't know if he got any piece of it, but Nedeljkovic was able to stop it and then get a glove on it.
The Leafs starting to show a little jump here late in the opening period after a rather subpar start. And I guess the other thing with the Pittsburgh Penguins trying to get in, you remember the reason the Florida Panthers made the playoffs last year was because the Penguins lost at home to the Chicago Blackhawks the last game of the regular season.
Nylander around back of the net. Holmberg off on the wing. A pass in front. Went right by Nylander and almost deflected into the near corner. Brought out at center ice now by the Penguins, who get it down into the Toronto zone, only to have it turned around. And it'll be grabbed off by Brody, who gets it up on the wing, and it's punched out at center ice. Here's Nyes trying to split the defense. That doesn't work. Puck down into the Pittsburgh zone. Nyes got it back for McCabe. Back to the blue line to Nylander. Working to the middle of the ice, then circles back. Top of the circle, still with it. To the far side, and a one-timer was knocked away by Nedeljkovic, and it's backhanded high into the center ice area. The Leafs back to recover the puck. Got it ahead for Morgan Riley. Riley will corner, goes Camp. That draws a crowd. The puck comes free. Malkin will backhand it high off a glove into the Leaf zone, but Lyubushkin is back there to cover up. Lyubushkin then gave the puck away to Malkin. Malkin on the left wing side, a pass in front of the net, unable to get a shot away was Raquel, and then they score. Pettersson from the far side after Raquel looked like he had ruined the chance, and it might be Raquel who gets credit for the goal here.
But again, the Leafs can't dodge that many turnovers in their own end. This time it was Lyubushkin, tried to play it up the middle out of his own zone from the left wing boards. It's picked off. The Leafs never get it back. And we saw them, even the opportunities they had, and I thought they were fortunate, the Leafs, not to give up the power play goal. The number of times they had full control and couldn't get it out. But yeah, it was Malkin, throws it out front to Raquel. He just turns, spins, and throws it. I don't think Bunting gets a piece of it, but a huge goal for the Penguins to open the scoring.
But it looked like he had kind of lost the chance that had developed. That the Leafs now get the puck out at center, but here's Rust bringing it right back in again. McCabe knocked it into the corner boards. Marner with it there, tried to play it off. It comes to the near wing for Bobby McMahon. He can't get it by Crosby. Back of the net for Rust. Centering pass is going to squirt all the way to center ice. Letang decides not to shoot it in. How to circle back to his own blue line with 1:15 to go in the period. Now he'll shoot it in. Penguins getting a change of players going, leading 1-0. Puck back of the net. Lars Eller trying to get it in front. It comes back to Carlson. It bounces to Domi, and Domi gets it out at center with a pass for Matthews that was intercepted by Carlson. Then Matthews stole the puck from him. Matthews stops up, got it in front of the net for Bertuzzi, who couldn't get a shot away. It comes in front of the net. Matthews fires it over top of the goal. Kept alive on the far side with a shot taken there by Giordano. And the Penguins will backhand it out into neutral ice and into the Leaf end with 35 seconds left to go in the period. Played to the line. Matthews couldn't get it away from Carlson this time. Now brought in by Raquel. Raquel lost it, and then it squirted in front of the net, and it was cleared into the slot area. Now the goaltender has lost his stick again. Played into the corner with 17 seconds to go. Leafs get it freed up and play it to the line, but no one there, and it is shot back into the zone. And Brody with 8 seconds left. No one seems to be too concerned about the goal stick for Samsonov, and as it turns out, they were correct. The horn will end the period. Raquel from Malkin is the scoring play, and it's 1-0.
Waste a number of turnovers in their own end in the opening period. Finally, the Lyubushkin one hurts them. And Ilya Samsonov, really the major reason this isn't a 2 or 3-0 lead for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
10-5, the shots favor Pittsburgh in the first 20 minutes. They'll carry a 1-0 lead to the dressing room, and we will ship it off to Jim Taddy at our first period intermission. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 of the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Hey, it's Taylor. It's finally here.
For 1 month. Listen now.
SiriusXM
with Boomer Gordon.
Andrew Burnett is your Jack Adams winner. 70 points in 52 games. You project that over 82, Jake. That's an 111-point pace. So they've gone head-to-head with the big boys of the West all year. Andrew Burnett inherited a new GM in Barry Trotz and a sinking payroll. And he's got this team playing as well as any team in the NHL.
Points with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. Hockey 24/7 on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
This is the NHL. These are pros. You don't want guys to put good power play units on, don't take penalties. You don't want good power play units to score goals when you've given up a whole bunch, kill them. You don't like it, do something about it. If you want to reward your guys who had a good game with a chance to get some more goals and points, do it. If I was a coach, I wouldn't care. Who cares? Worry about your own team. Don't worry about mine.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and on your schedule with the Sirius XM app. NHL Morning Skate.
Andrew Burnett, head coach of the Nashville Predators. I think Roman Josi gets underrated nowadays.
I think maybe the consistency that he does it every year, you take it for granted a little bit. I mean, he's done everything in this game. His ability to raise his game is very unique. You know, I've been around some really good, great defensemen. He's right up there with them, and he does get over them.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stiller. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. NHL Morning.
Vegas so quickly has become a place where players want to go.
Players appreciate that we're trying to win, and I think we've come to expect it. It's their livelihood and all of those things that go with it. So we try to do what we can to help that happen.
NHL Morning Skate
With Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellar.
weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern
On NHL Network Radio.
Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app.
There is no competition in soccer quite like the UEFA Champions League.
Mbappe delivering when it matters most.
The stakes are higher now in the knockout stage, where one goal can transform a club's trajectory.
Jude Bellingham's driving, scores!
And one performance can turn a star into an immortal.
Erling Haaland has 5!
It's the Champions League knockout stage, and all the top matches are on Sirius XM FC 157 and the all-new Sirius XM app.
The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Toronto, they don't have a face card. Like, they don't have an ace. Morgan's a jack. They have so many non-face cards that these guys are going to have the bullpen by committee. Because the real truth is this, they got a good forward group. But if you don't defend against Boston and Florida, you're not seeing Boston or Florida in round 2. That's the exam, and the test will be on this defense.
The Power Play.
Weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern
On NHL Network Radio.
Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app. The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen, walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Leafs hockey is on TSN 1050 and the Leafs Radio Network. The Leafs live here.
And trail the Penguins 1-0 after 20 minutes of play. And we should alert you that this is brought to you by Subaru. Embrace spring weather with the Subaru all-weather drive event. Visit your local Subaru dealer to book a test drive today. 1-0, as I said. Jim Taddy and Josh Cloak with you from The Athletic. This could have been much worse. But you saw constantly the Pittsburgh pressure in the Leafs zone, which caused Lyubushkin to do something he didn't want to do.
Well, 2 penalties certainly don't help the Leafs' cause here.
Right.
5-on-5, I thought it was obviously tilting the Penguins' favor, but not as bad as I guess it looks. But those 2 penalties really hurt the balance of play. Look, the Leafs are still in this game because of Ilya Samsonov. And we talked before the game about how he was going to do against what we were expecting to be some sustained pressure from the Penguins. We saw that.
Yeah.
I thought Samsonov looked great. He allowed 1 goal on 10 shots. The Leafs just could not get out of their own way in their own zone.
It was, but that's how you're going to play the Leafs. Whether it's Pittsburgh this week or whoever it is in 10 days, that's the way to attack the Leafs, isn't it?
For sure. But I just think, the Leafs are a better team than what we saw in that first period.
Yeah.
Right. 5 shots against is not the kind of team that the Leafs are. It's not the way they're built. I think what I saw was just a little bit of a level of panic from the Leafs, right? With the puck in their own zone. That's not what we're used to seeing from them.
Okay, I agree with that. And so you would look at that and say, well, Pittsburgh, but in a playoff series, you're not going to have your own way. You're going to have to figure out how to weather that and get past it, because if you don't, 2-0 or 1-0 in a playoff game is not where you want to be. You want to be ahead of this, and they're not.
Well, again, that's why you hope to have a really good goaltender, and Ilya Samsonov is looking more and more like a playoff goaltender. Right, he spent part of that 1 penalty kill without a stick.
Yeah,
showed his calm, but he's given them an opportunity to go into the intermission and have a reset. I would suspect. They're getting a bit of the hairdryer treatment from Sheldon Keefe this intermission, right? Probably not the friendliest Keefe has ever been in front of them, because you're on home ice. You should be dictating the way that the game is played.
There's just no future in playing the way they did in the first period at this time of the year.
I think you just need you need a little bit of calm on the ice. You need a little bit of calm in your own zone. Now, obviously, it's hard when you've got some of the best players to ever play the game. Coming up against you.
See, that's the point. Like, when you watch Pittsburgh play, you go, seriously, they're battling for a playoff spot again?
Yeah.
Because of the people they can put out, especially on the power play. That alone, and their power play operates at 14.6%
for now.
Minuscule. I just don't get it.
Well, they were just in such a funk, right, throughout the middle of the season. That should climb a little bit towards the end of the season, but Yeah, I think you're reminded of how, great players remain great players, right? I was getting into a bit of an argument with some colleagues about Sidney Crosby's Hart Trophy case.
Jonas Siegel?
I'm not going to name names. That's not what I do.
Oh, it was.
But my point is you watch Sidney Crosby. He's, 37? This is a guy that is willing his team into the playoffs. Right? I don't know how he doesn't get Hart Trophy votes. I know it's such a crowded field this year.
Yeah.
But when you watch him up close, you watch how he is he's always, and some listeners will appreciate this, I'm sure, maybe just a few. He is very reminiscent of Lionel Messi in the way that he plays, because he's one of the very few players in all sports that the game seems to slow down around him. When he has the puck, he has the ability to, utilize his vision, utilize his IQ, and slow down the game in a way that no other player in his generation can.
Regardless of what end of the ice he's in. I mean, he's the full sheet of ice.
And that comes with experience. That kind of calm comes with experience. But he just reminds you game after game. 37. Mark Giordano is 40, and, he's the oldest player in the league.
Yeah.
Sidney Crosby is still doing this, and still doing this at such a high level at this point in the year when players his age really start to break down.
Yeah.
I think it's remarkable. I really do.
Well, and he's had all kinds of injury problems himself, but you wouldn't know that by watching him play.
No, and this is a player, again, that understands the other side. He's won multiple Stanley Cups. He understands the difference between, or he understands literally what it takes. And again, that only comes with experience, but I think that's why what he's doing is so impressive. There are other key pieces on this Penguins team, but that he's literally taken this team on his back, and he's pushing, at least if we're looking at that first period, he's pushing this team into the playoffs in a way that those other 5 teams that we talked about before the game, fighting for those 2 spots, in a way that those other 5 teams aren't, right?
Well, they don't have that kind of, I want to say, all-star depth. Obviously, Washington is Ovi, but the other teams do not have, just on that power play alone, 4 or 5 guys that are really good hockey players.
You know what? It's a great test for the Leafs, because if you look at Florida's power play, they've got a ton of great pieces, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? These are the kind of games that you like to play because they prepare you for the playoffs. That kind of intensity should prepare you. But if they play the way like they did in the first period, it could be a short series.
Well, do you think Coach Keith goes to the blender?
I don't know. I mean, it's one period, right? Possible, because it's Sheldon Keefe. He loves to have his trigger finger on that blender. It's possible, but I mean, you got to give your team a chance to claw out of it too, right?
Play their way out of it, absolutely. Well, so, I mean, as far as the Leafs were concerned, they had several opportunities, but there was no, they didn't have Pittsburgh in trouble. There were sort of one-off opportunities.
No, Austin Matthews had a few chances, but again, no real sustained pressure, no real playmaking. And that, will happen. I think a power play would give them a chance to, get comfortable in the offensive zone. They didn't even have a chance to do that. So, yeah, a lot of work ahead of them in the second period.
So Pittsburgh leads at 1-0 over the Leafs after 20 minutes of play. Raquel got his 14th of the season at 18:06 to give the Penguins that lead. We'll come back with the abbreviated out-of-town scoreboard next. This is Bolsa Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN 1050, the iHeart Radio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
Breaking story from Alpine News Network. Sandra and Kabir are celebrating 50 years of marriage by turning their boring bedroom into a spicy one. Oh, my. Alpine Credit sent a super strength hero to help with a home renovation loan. New floors, windows, a heart-shaped button that plays this tune. Okay, I think that's quite enough. Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. Just for license 12616.
You've heard that sound before. A basketball going off the backboard and in. A bank shot. Well, that's the sound of a fan getting a signed Raptors basketball. And that's a fan scoring tickets to the NBA Finals. With the Tangerine Bank Shot contest, every bank shot the Raptors score this season wins a fan a prize. Enter for a chance to win at tangerine.ca/bankshot. Tangerine, that's forward banking.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential. But finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.ca/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ziprecruiter.ca/free. That's ziprecruiter.ca/free. ziprecruiter.ca/free.
The Stanley Cup Playoffs Bracket Challenge presented by Betway.net is back. And now it's time to take your shot.
Alternate scores!
Face off against family and friends. And take aim at predicting this year's playoffs. Whether you're pulling for the Panthers, going big on the Blue Shirts, or seeing stars all the way, who do you think hoists the cup this year? Sign up today for a chance to win exclusive prizes at NHL.com/bracket.
Hello, people of the GTA. Patio season is around the corner. But why wait for packed parks and King Street when you can head to Canada's favorite paradise, Cuba, for less? Book early with Sunwing and kick back in Holguin or Cayo Santa Maria, where the mojitos are always fresh. When you save more, you can do more. Book with your local travel agent or at
The Out-of-Town Scoreboard is brought to you by Maple Toyota. Build your next dream Toyota at Maple Toyota. And check out Maple Toyota's pre-owned inventory arriving daily. Guy, it's time to Toyota. Visit mapletoyota.com. Hey, I got to say, not much going on in the NHL tonight. Aside from this game, the Golden Knights are in Vancouver. And puck drop there is just after 10 this evening. Leafs next action will be tomorrow night from New Jersey. We'll have that for you live here on TSN 1050, the iHeart Radio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
Massive news in the world of college basketball. John Calipari is leaving Kentucky.
When the sports world is talking, nobody gives you more perspectives than the experts of SiriusXM.
That is absolutely wild to me. Yeah, I was shocked.
Hear instant reaction on college sports radio.
This is about resources, and that's what the game is about now.
And expert analysis on SEC radio.
I don't know who doesn't win in this situation.
Live sports talk when you need it on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app.
The Point with Boomer Gordon.
Andrew Burnett is your Jack Adams winner. 70 points in 52 games. You project that over 82, Jake. That's an 111-point pace. So they've gone head-to-head with the big boys of the West all year. Andrew Burnett inherited a new GM in Barry Trotz and a sinking payroll. And he's got this team playing as well as any team in the NHL.
Point with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
There is no competition in soccer quite like the UEFA Champions League. And it's on Sirius XM-FC.
Kylian Mbappe delivering when it matters most.
The stakes are higher now in the knockout stage, where one goal can transform a club's trajectory.
Jude Bellingham's driving scores!
And one performance can turn a star into an immortal.
Erling Haaland has 5!
It's the Champions League knockout stage, and all the top matches are on Sirius XM-FC 157 and the all-new Sirius XM app.
The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Toronto, yeah, they don't have a face card. Like, they don't have an ace. Morgan's a jack. They have so many non-face cards that these guys are going to have to bullpen by committee. Because the real truth is this. They got a good forward group. But if you don't defend against Boston and Florida, you're not seeing Boston or Florida in round 2. That's the exam, and the test will be on this defense.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind, wrist the line, and walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on SiriusXM.
Leafs trail the Pittsburgh Penguins 1-0 on a goal, 200th of his career by Ricard Racal. And for Racal, that was goal number 14 on the season. Malkin drew the lone assist. In 46 games against the Leafs, he has 24 goals and 45 assists. That's 69 points. But he's -9.
Guess the power play was better in the earlier days.
I think
the
so.
Early years.
Yeah.
The Leafs are lucky. Pittsburgh was over 2 on the power play. Leafs responded a little bit, but
Leafs have given up just 1 goal in their last 20 times short. Actually, 21 times short over the last 6 games and a little bit. So the Penguins will defend the goal to the right, and Ilya Samsonov is down to the left. 10-5 were the shots favoring Pittsburgh.
now, too early to do it, the non-shutout streak?
No, I think it can be brought up
throw it in
anytime.
now?
Puck is dropped. How many games is that now?
We are at 239 games.
All right.
Since Tristan Jarry and the Penguins shut out the Leafs.
Here's a backhand in on goal, steered wide by Nedeljkovic. Puck comes out at center ice, and McCabe will take it back into his own zone, play it up on the left wing, and it's backhanded into the zone then by Bobby McMahon. Penguins with it. Joseph dropping it off. Pass ahead by Letang, and it's going to be played by the Leafs around back of their goal. Penguins getting a change in, and brought out now with a lead pass to center. Turned back by McMahon, given to McCabe. McCabe gave the puck away, but McMahon is able to steal it back. He's tripped.
No, he isn't.
Oh, you know what? I must have just not seen that. Huh? That was amazing. He just kind of fell down on his own, I guess. Back into the Toronto zone. Nylander starts back up ice, brought to the line and in. Nylander with a shot that deflects wide of the goal. Played up on the boards. I guess no one was feeling the alleys in the pockets as the puck comes in front of the goal. Back to the point. A drive whistled in there by Lyubushkin, was kicked aside by Nedeljkovic. Puck comes back out at center, and Nyes shooting it right back in again. Nyes striding into the forecheck around the boards. Pontus Holmberg is able to block. Holmberg down into the corner, feeds it around to the far side. Giordano sends it back from whence it came. Pinching on the near side was Brody. Backing up the pinch nicely there was Matthews. Back to Brody. Brody on the left wing side, and a pass in from the defenseman on the far side. Giordano deflected wide. Around the boards, it'll find Giordano again. Giordano back to Matthews. Over on the near side for Domi. Domi steps in, looked for a pass in front, tried to then redirect it in front of the net. It comes back to Matthews, and his wrist shot fells a man in front of the net. Loose puck is still free. Getting up slowly is Pierre-Olivier Joseph. He's trying to make a play with it now after taking that shot from Matthews. Leafs trying to pressure here. Here's Brody getting it back to the blue line. Matthews keeps it in for Domi. Domi along the near boards, knocked down, but gets it back to the point. Left wing side, Giordano. Giordano back to Brody. Brody with a shot coming, blockered away by Nedeljkovic. Penguins trying to relieve pressure, have sent it high, out and down the ice, but icing waved off. A bank pass at center, intercepted by Malkin. Fed back in for Michael Bunting. Bunting had it taken away. Nylander in front of his own goal to find Brody. Brody a bank pass to center. Doesn't get into the offensive zone, and an offside after a collision with Malkin. And now everybody's complaining about no penalty.
Yeah, it was Morgan Riley and Malkin. Getting Malkin both puck watching and end up running into each other.
So is it not interference against the team that didn't have the puck at the time of the collision?
I'm not sure.
Just asking for a friend.
I'm not sure either team had the puck. But, I mean, that was similar to we saw in Pittsburgh. The referee ended up running into a player at center ice. It was a similar play, so that could have been a lot worse.
Malkin gets it out. A pass back for Bunting. To the line on the right wing. Raquel trying to play it around the boards. It comes back to the point. A shot right on. Oh, and a redirection right in front of the net by Raquel was stopped by Samsonov. Played deep into the zone. Penguins in their own end. Nylander broke it up. Tavares out there as David Camp plays it around back of the net. Nylander trying to come away with it on the near boards. Couldn't get it back to Lyubushkin cleanly, and when he did, an easy shoot in by Lyubushkin is handled, and Raquel gets it to center and shoots it back into the Toronto end. Leafs with it there, trailing 1-0. Brought on now by David Camp. Backhanded in wide of the goal. Back of the net, the Leafs come away with the loose puck. Played back into the corner now by Dewar. Dewar taken to the boards by St. Ivany. Back behind the net, it'll come to the point. A pass in front is deflected off the stick there of Giordano. Kept in by Reeves. Round back of the net for Camp. Camp cycling the puck, swept it towards the front of the net, gets it again. Tries to center for Reeves. It comes back to Brody. Brody works in. He's going to drop it back to the blue line. Dewar keeps it in for Toronto. Back of the net for Camp. Camp back to the point. Here's Giordano. Near side Brody. Brody looking to the right wing side to find Bertuzzi. He'll get it back to the point again. Brody once more. A pass looking for Bertuzzi. Didn't connect. Bertuzzi with the puck. Getting it around back of the net. Reeves trying to get off. And Matthews steals it again. Matthews dishing it back for Bertuzzi. Bertuzzi is tripped. Hauled down. But that's not a penalty either. Played ahead for Matthews. In across the line, Domi. Near side, Bertuzzi. Bertuzzi back in for Matthews. His backhand was blocked. Great pressure here from the Maple Leafs. Played along for Domi. Left wing side, McCabe. Fed it around back of the net, Bertuzzi. He is rubbed out against the wall, but is able to free the puck up the back of the net. Domi after it again. St. Ivany just trying to get rid of it. He has, but it's going to cost them an icing. So there's 3 power plays the Leafs are 0 for 3 on, mainly because they weren't called.
Well, I think what makes it worse was the Lyubushkin penalty.
Yes.
It's one of those, if you say, okay, they're going to let him play, then you say, but this is what happens, and this is where the frustration leaks into players as well. Everybody says, okay, you called this, so this has got to be a penalty, and when it's not, that's when the frustration starts to leak in.
Oh, fortunately, we don't get that frustration up here. There's Nylander back to the point. Riley to the near side. Pass in front. They score! Nice on a perfect feed in front of the net by Brody. And the Leafs have tied the game at 1s. And the shutout streak continues.
Matthew Nyes. Dominance of the Pittsburgh Penguins continues. 3 goals, 3 games against the Penguins this year. As Matthew Nyes goes to the front of the net, but TJ Brody, great patience in the right wing circle. Looks up, waits. You had a battle in front of the net where the Leafs were able to draw a defender, and that was Pontus Holmberg. They did a great job drawing his man to the front, and Nyes pops his head out, stick on the ice, takes the Brody pass. Morgan Riley will get the other assist.
You'd almost think that TJ Brody doesn't want to score. Here's a loose puck at the side of the goal. A sweeping shot by the Leafs. Nylander was stopped by Nedeljkovic. It was a great pass. Yeah. Absolutely. And an offside at the Toronto blue line.
And great that Nyes gives him a target as well.
Yep. 15th of the year for the Leaf rookie, who has played in every game. So if you're going to break into the league, show that you can do it with some substance and good health.
For Nyes, 3 goals, 4 points against Pittsburgh in the 3 games this year. But really, this has just been the follow-up where the Leafs have had 3 or 4 shifts in a row that have held the Penguins back into their own zone.
Lyubushkin gets it down in around back of the net. Here's Tavares trying to outfight Letang for it. Knocked down there nicely by Marner. Back to the point it comes to Riley. Riley to Marner, and a shot looking for a deflection in front didn't materialize. Leafs get it back to Riley again. He's going to pepper it around back of the net for McMahon. Bobby McMahon looking for Marner. Marner after it in the corner. And it's played back of the net. And now here's McMahon stealing it again. Tavares in with a backhand. That's up the rebound into the goal crease. Smothered by the glove of Nedeljkovic. And the Leafs, who started very slowly in the first period, have come out guns a-blazing here in the second and have tied the game at 1. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
And now it's time for our Subaru weather report. So, Harold, what's it looking like?
Jim, we can expect more thunderstorms as the evening approaches, and then overnight... Oh, hold on. Yeah, can I get 2 number 6s with a side of curly fries? Hold the onions, please. Yeah.
Harold, are you in the drive-thru right now?
Jim, no one listens to this. Oh, thank you. Yeah, great.
Weather reports don't matter when you drive a Subaru. Visit your local Subaru dealer today and book a test drive during the all-weather drive event.
Alpine News Network is here live with one of our superheroes.
I just helped Tom with a business loan. He needed to soup up his mechanic shop. Not to brag, but I once modified a car to match my ultra speed. It went so fast, it broke the speed of sound. At least no one was inside. I hope no one was inside. I guess I'll just stick to approving business loans.
Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. Just for license 12616.
From the biggest stadiums to the coziest holes in the wall. From house parties to porch hangs to pride celebrations. From your favorite fuss shop to your local Indian spot. From noodle bars to sports bars to salsa bars. There's a Molson with your name on it. Canadian Ultra XL. Molson. Everyone in. Must be legal drinking age.
Pittsburgh Penguins are 1 point back of the Detroit Red Wings, who currently hold the final playoff spot. Both teams have 5 games remaining. Detroit plays Washington, who have lost 6 in a row and are also 1 point back of Detroit. That is tomorrow. Then on April 11th, Pittsburgh entertains Detroit. So those 2 games for the Red Wings are absolutely huge.
I tell you, it's made for some fun watching, though, because it looked like everything was set.
And how's the Western Conference?
In the Eastern Conference.
West has been nothing, right?
But it's got some interesting matchups. I mean, you could get Edmonton and Vegas in the first round.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, you know, the Leafs can complain about why are they always playing good teams when you get 100 points.
Played down into the Leaf zone. Brody on the wing. Played out at center ice. Grabbed off again by Giordano to Brody. Brody will fire it into Pittsburgh territory. Leafs are changing the defense. The puck goes around the far side. Matthews couldn't get to it. Brought out now at center ice by Pettersson. He'll shoot it down into the Leaf end. Penguins trying to get their change going. A long lead pass. Here's Matthews in over the line on the left wing. Works into the corner, centered in front of the net. And just failing to redirect that was Bertuzzi in front of the goal. Brought back the other way by Michael Bunting in a shot. That stopped the rebound. Knocked back to the Toronto goal. Wrapped around the boards. And a glove pass is being called. And Bunting is nose to nose here with Max Domi. That's when you really wish you had a garlic sandwich before the game.
Yes, that's... You've used that on me many times. No mas.
No mas. No mas. Garlic's good for you.
But I'll tell you one thing. I mean, they trade Jake Gensel. The Penguins do to Carolina and get Michael Bunting. Michael Bunting had the winning goal for the Penguins. Doesn't have quite the point production that Gensel has had in Carolina. But Bunting comes in now on into this game in a 3-game point streak, and has 13 points in his 16 games as a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. So,
and he's played well, but he's minus 17 for the season. Most of that coming in,
which is more surprising, probably.
Yes, yeah. Shot into the Toronto zone. McCabe around back of the net, looks up ice and gets it up on the left wing. Dewar couldn't penetrate the offensive zone. The puck comes back on the near side. McCabe had it taken away by Bunting, but it'll be secured by Benoit back in the Toronto end. He puts the brakes on to give himself a lot more room as the Penguins are now changing. A pass ahead for Camp. And then he tried to drop it for Nylander, and that was stolen back. And now it is Crosby chased there, and Nylander gets it out, and Nylander's going to get a penalty for holding. After missing 3 straight against the Leafs, quickly on to the cause is Chris Lee to make sure the Penguins will enjoy their 3rd straight power play.
Wow.
You know what? I'm going to stop. Let's not criticize until the playoffs when we really have something to criticize.
It's on Crosby. Maybe that's
no
reason
kidding.
It's called.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Crosby really is kind of, well, I mean, smart players do this. Clamp onto the stick, right?
Yep. So in a 1-1 tie, the 3rd power play opportunity for Pittsburgh. And the puck against the boards. The Penguins come away with it. Malkin at the left point. Drops it back now for Carlson. Right on the right wing side, and a shot by Crosby deflects up into the screen. The penalty kill brought to you by CMC Markets. Take your trading to the next level with $0 commission on stocks. And this second period is brought to you by Molson. Whether it's Canadian, Ultra, Export, or XL, there's a Molson with your name on it.
Well, he's got Mitch Marner back, and in the game and a half that he's been back, hasn't done much in the power play, has he?
No, he's been terrible.
What? They have 1 in Montreal. Nothing tonight.
1. At the point, Malkin. Now to Carlson. Carlson walks the line, right wing point, sends into the slot area for Bunting. A shot blocked, the rebound in front of the net, knocked away by Samsonov. Malkin again. Gets it back from Carlson. Down into the corner, a centering pass comes to the right wing side, and Crosby couldn't settle it. Now he gets it back. Carlson with a shot, and finding that through a maze. Staying on his feet to handle it is Samsonov with 1:17 to go in the power play.
Erik Karlsson obviously not putting up. In fact, he's could finish with half the points that he had last year with San Jose when he won the Norris Trophy. But he has been part of the resurgence. 5 points in his last 3 games.
Leafs scrum the face off, but Crosby gets it back to the point. Carlson flips it back to the captain. Crosby gets it to Bunting. Bunting working at the top of the circles. Off a skate, it'll come to Carlson. Just kept in. Carlson with a shot that deflects wide. Round back of the net, sent by Russ to the far corner to Crosby. He gets it back again. Crosby back to the blue line. It'll come to Malkin. Malkin to Carlson. Back to Malkin to the far side for Bunting. Bunting looking down low, gets it to Crosby. In the far corner, back into the slot. Malkin shooting! Glove save! Made by Samsonov.
Just 42 seconds to go in the 3rd Pittsburgh power play of the night. I don't know if you saw any of the Tampa-Pittsburgh game. They showed Evgeny Malkin's father was in the crowd.
Very emotional.
Very emotional, crying. Reminds me of my dad would watch me. Well, the last time my dad watched me. I played 4 more years, but that was it. Brought him to tears. He just couldn't go back.
Couldn't come back. Have anything to do with the score?
Yeah. I gave up more than Malkin got. Let's put it this way.
Leafs chip the puck to the blue line and get it out in center ice. Oh, come on, Dad. Brought in over the line, stolen by Camp. Flipped ahead. Marner's got a break. He's in on goal. And that was stopped. Oh, and a slash. Oh, and a complaining Rickard Rakell. Oh, my, yes. Rakell is very upset at Garrett Rank for having a penalty called on him.
You know what? I'll be honest, though. I don't think this is a great call.
I don't think it is either.
I think Rakell does a great job to come back and get body position on Marner. And I was going to say, I mean, it was a great play. Leafs get it in their zone, backhanded up, alley-oop down the ice. And we are lucky we get the... I mean, this isn't a slat. This is stick on stick.
Stick on stick. It's a great play.
Marner, is he going to stay out? No. So we got Matthews and Max Domi will come out 4-on-4 for 21 seconds before the Leafs go to the first power play of the night.
Then I would imagine you will see Marner come out. Matthews wins the draw, works around to the left wing side, gets it returned by Domi. Matthews back to Domi at the blue line. Back it goes to Matthews. He's going to bring it out at center ice. 7 seconds left in the penalty. Matthews stretching things out. Now plays it ahead to Tavares in the center ice area. Tavares circling it back. Now here it's brought in over the line. Nylander out of the penalty box. And his shot rattled wide of the net. Marner back onto the ice as well. Leafs are going with 5 forwards and 1 defenseman. Marner gets it to the defenseman, and that is Riley, who gets it ahead now for Nylander. Nylander to Tavares, dropping it back for Matthews. Matthews through center to the line and in. Right wing side, Nylander. Nylander chips it around back of the net, but Letang is there, and he quickly spins behind the net, then sends it out and down the ice. Getting it into the zone and getting set up has been the biggest problem. Never mind. Here's the lead pass for Marner. He's alone. That was stopped. There's a big rebound in front of the goal, and the Leafs couldn't get to it.
Boy, Marner twice.
Rust gets around Matthews, trying to drive the net, and a good pad save made by Samsonov. Then he poke checks it away. A Leaf penalty for tripping.
And I'm trying to see Ilya Samsonov. I mean, and at the risk of sounding stupid, which I know we do on a semi-regular basis, I don't know what the tripping penalty was called. The arm was not in the air. Ilya, okay, I thought it was Samsonov that got his stick out on the poke check, took his man down. It was not. It was Giordano did get a piece. I guess it was Jeff Carter, although Jeff Carter gets away with a cross check right before that. That knocked Giordano into the boards. Well, how'd you enjoy that partial Leaf power play, Joey?
It was really good.
That was fun.
I'm going to let you just figure out how many seconds it was. Played down into the zone. Chipped along the boards now for Eller. Eller against the wall. They're playing 4-on-4 for another 28 seconds, and the Leafs have got it out and down into Pittsburgh territory. Nedeljkovic has to come back. Wow, he almost handled it in the wrong spot. The non-trapezoidal area. Brought to the line, stolen back by Domi, rolled back in over the line, but now brought on by Pittsburgh. Brought in over the line by Letang. He sends it to the side of the goal. Goaltender gets it up on the wing. Here's Bertuzzi skating it out at center, looking for Domi, but he couldn't come up with the loose puck. Marcus Pettersson sends it around the boards, and now the Leafs are a man short for the 4th time in the game. On the right wing side, Raquel in on that far side. Had it stolen. Leafs play it in front of their own goal, and it is Dewar skating it out into neutral ice and flipping it into Pittsburgh territory. He's going to go in there against Carlson and try to disrupt things as much as he can. Kicked it free for Camp. Camp sends it back from whence it came, but now the Penguins are able to break it out. Here's Crosby getting it ahead for Bunting. Bunting in on the right side. Holds it up. Sends it back into the corner for Crosby. Crosby back for Malkin. Malkin far boards, had it knocked to the blue line, but Carlson keeps it in. Pass broken up in front of the net. Leafs fail to get to it cleanly, and now flip it out at center. Dewar was out of gas as he's heading to the bench. Brought right back in again by Pittsburgh. Here's Bunting. Holding the puck at the blue line, sends it in front of the net, intercepted and played off the boards, and Marner's racing after it, but it's way out of his reach. And the goaltender is there to play it back at center. Carlson trying to shoot it in, had it deflect down into the Leaf goal zone. 3 seconds left to go in the penalty. Played into the corner, centering pass. The penalty is over. Giordano steps on and gets the puck free. Brought in over the line now by Bobby McMahon. McMahon couldn't come up with it. And the Penguins start away. To the line. Dropped off by Eller. Lars Eller gets it into the corner. Carter back to the point. Long shot just went wide of the Leaf goal. Tavares will free it up. Lyubushkin around to the far side, but Brody couldn't get to it. A centering pass knocked to the near side. And here's Lyubushkin bringing it out with a pass ahead for Reeves. Reeves tipping it into Pittsburgh territory. Couldn't block a clearing attempt, and the Leafs have it back at their own blue line. 6 minutes to go here in the second period, and a 1-1 tie. Played down the boards. Riley pinches in. Puck at the near half wall, trying to control it. It comes back to Nylander. Steps around one. Nylander steps around two. Centering pass, looking for Reeves, who won't get to it before the goaltender, Nedeljkovic, gets that glove on it and stops play with 5:43 left in the period. The Leafs won and the Penguins won. Nyes equalizing in the second period from Brody and Riley. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
It's the College Basketball Men's National Championship game on Sirius XM and the SXM app.
Oh, what a play by Klingon at the rim. It is all Donovan Klingon right now.
Can UConn become the first repeat champion since 2007? Or will Zach Edey and Purdue cut down the nets?
Zach Edey flexing his muscle inside.
Listen to Westwood One's coverage tonight at 9 Eastern on Sirius XM College Sports Radio, Channel 84, and the all-new Sirius XM app.
Hockey 24/7 on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
This is the NHL. These are pros. You don't want guys to put good power play units on, don't take penalties. You don't want good power play units to score goals when you've given up a whole bunch, kill them. You don't like it, do something about it. If you want to reward your guys who had a good game with a chance to get some more goals and points, do it. If I was a coach, I wouldn't care. Who cares? Worry about your own team. Don't worry about mine.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91. And on your schedule with the Sirius XM app. NHL Morning Skate.
Andrew Burnett, head coach of the Nashville Predators. I think Roman Josi gets underrated nowadays.
I think maybe the consistency that he does it every year, you take it for granted a little bit. I mean, he's done everything in this game. His ability to raise his game is very unique. You know, I've been around some really good, great defensemen. He's right up there with them, and he does get over them.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stiller. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The best hockey lives here.
Marks gets it back. Stick handles to the backhand. Moves in front. Score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Jim Ralph, Owen Hall running the operation, Matt Cardadero and Luca Moya pretending they know what they're doing with the technical aspects of this. Fine. Fortunately, it's all paint by numbers, so they just have to plug stuff in.
Huh. Then we should be able to do it.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
What scares you, the painting or the numbers?
We're not very good at either, I do believe. Played down into the Toronto zone. Goaltender Samsonov is going to be forced to cover up. And Riley Smith, the Mimico native, was down there. Face-off coming in the Toronto zone with 5:36 to play. 1-1 is our score. Raquel for the Penguins, Nyes for the Maple Leafs.
I mentioned 6-0-2, the Penguins in the last 8 coming in, so points in 8 straight. The stretch before that, they were 3-9-1. And that's when it looked like they were done. Jake Guentzel was traded around that time.
Penguins win the draw. Carlson trying to wrap it around, took a shot, hit the side of the goal. Nylander pushing the puck ahead, and then it's lofted high to center ice by Nyes. Volleyballed ahead, it'll be a glove pass. And so the faceoff will come in the neutral zone.
Leafs have really done this a lot more, haven't they? That lob out of the zone. We've seen it. Mitch Marner shorthanded, almost getting a breakaway goal out of it. But it is so difficult to defend against.
It appears that the Leafs are almost automatically going to be involved in day one of the postseason, which is the 20th of April, which somewhat is unfair. And the reason being, the Leafs play back-to-back games against Florida and Tampa to end their season. They'll get a couple of days off, but every other team is getting a lot more. So I guess we can complain now before we have to worry about it, but it does seem to be a little unfair. Played around into the Pittsburgh zone, stolen back by Toronto. Shot then intercepted by Carlson. A long lead pass finds Malkin. He's going to drop for Bunting. Bunting with a shot, and he wired it high over top of the goal. Kept in by Pittsburgh, who were close to having too many men on the ice. And now the Leafs have it back under control in their own end as Pittsburgh will complete its change. Riley off the boards and in for Domi. Rink-wide pass now for Bertuzzi. Bertuzzi works to the side of the net. Matthews is in front, but he couldn't get him the puck. Matthews 6 goals away from 70. At the point is Giordano. His shot knocked away. Bertuzzi was tackled in front of the net by Ryan Shea, and the Penguins get it out into the center ice area. Pittsburgh across the line. Riley Smith had it poked off his stick. Got it back again on the right wing. Sends it to the near side for Shea. A shot is being deflected high, so high that it clears the screen and ends up in about the last row of gold seats in the far corner of Scotiabank Arena as we take a timeout. 1-1 is our score. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Let's get jerseys. Let's get jerseys.
Right now, become a Tangerine client with a savings account and you could get a free Raptors jersey.
We want jerseys.
Finally, a savings account worth cheering for.
Jerseys. Jerseys.
Find out how to score a jersey at tangerine.ca/Raptors. Tangerine. That's forward banking. Available to new clients who open and fund an eligible account while supplies last. Conditions apply.
Breaking story from Alpine News Network. Ron is a teacher helping bright minds, but this time he needed help. Alpine Credit sent a cosmic superhero with a debt consolidation loan. She conjured a magic book, Debt Consolidation 101. Lesson 1, consolidate debt into one low monthly payment. Lesson 2, nothing. It's a short book. Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. Just for license 12616.
And now it's time for our Subaru weather report. So, Harold, what's it looking like?
Jim, it's a lovely spring day here on the beach. I came here for some solo time, like I do, but I got hungry instantly, so I went to Bob's Boardwalk Bistro when Bob says, sorry, cash only. Luckily for me, I always have a $5 bill stashed in my sandals, so I give it to Bob, and he says, we don't accept foot money here. That's
Thanks,
how he
Harold.
talks. But now
Weather
I'm
reports
starving, and I'm
don't
looking
matter
for
when you
something to
drive a Subaru. Visit your local Subaru dealer today and book a test drive during the all-weather drive event.
Face-off coming in the Toronto zone to the right of Ilya Samsonov, who is 2-3-1 lifetime against the Pittsburgh Penguins with a 3.01 goals against average. Alex Nedeljkovic, 1-3-0 lifetime against the Leafs, 4.13 goals against average. Face-off, Crosby facing off with Tavares, the captains, as Crosby wins the draw. Letang back to the point. Long shot went wide of the Leaf goal. Fed back of the net for O'Connor. He's taken to the boards by McCabe. It comes back to the point, near side. A long shot by the defense and a rebound in front that O'Connor flipped over top of the net. Leafs get it out at center. Brought on by Tavares. And on the left wing it goes for McMahon. He plays it back of the net, but out of the reach of the Leaf player. And it's launched high to center ice, and Marner lost it. And now here are the Penguins trying to break in again, but good play made there first by Benoit. And then McCabe took his man, and the net is off its mooring. And is McCabe getting a penalty? It would appear he's coming to the box. Well, that'll be a nice, tidy 5 power play opportunities here for Pittsburgh.
Number 22, 2 minutes interference.
Not to scream. He's sorry, I'm sure. And, you know, this is Sidney Crosby again. Draws the penalty. And I'll be honest, Sidney Crosby goes down, I'd probably call a penalty too.
Yeah. Well, the penalty kill getting lots of work. Brought to you by CMC Markets. Take your trading to the next level with $0 commission on stocks. Pass deflected out at center ice nicely by David Camp. And the Penguins have to go back to their own blue line. They'll quickly bring it back by Riley Smith. Trapped on the far side. Camp gets it freed up. He's going to skate it out and then gingerly play it down into Pittsburgh territory. Second unit starting for the Penguins here. Drop pass by Letang. Brought forward now by the Penguins. Eller across the line on the left wing. Got it back to Letang. Shot coming. That deflected wide. Far side for Carter. Got it in around the boards. It's going to play to the line, but trapped there by Letang. Near side for Eller. Back to Letang. Over on the right wing side, a shot is deflecting there off the stick of Lyubushkin and up into the screen, out of play. And now the Penguins will bring on the big guns, and the Leafs will make a change as well with 1:07 to go on the power play. What's that?
Well,
do you really think there are marbles in their pockets?
No,
because
you know
gotta
what?
be juggling around there a lot.
Sidney Crosby was hurt on the McCabe play, and he has not returned. I believe, is he still on the Pittsburgh bench?
It looks like there's a spot open.
Or is he on the ice looking?
No, he's not on the ice.
He was very slow to get up after McCabe took him into the inboards.
Rust lost the draw, and the Leafs fire it off the boards and out and down the ice. Looking for a C on the jersey over there, but I don't see it. Pass to the blue line is knocked away nicely by Marner. Back into Pittsburgh territory. 47 seconds left to go in the penalty. Brought on by the Penguins across the line for Raquel. Round on the boards for Malkin. Malkin got it down into the corner. There's Crosby, so never mind, Mr. Ralph. Crosby on the far side. Got it into the corner. Centering pass for a pass now and a backhand try. And a sprawling save made by Samsonov. It may have hit the post, but he was there. And Sammy is echoing through the building again. To the near boards, pass knocked away by Brody. Into the corner it goes. Raquel trying to free it up. 3 Leafs are there with a man in front of the net. Now McMahon trying to change on a shot off the shoulder of Samsonov, taken there by Bunting.
Crosby might have got a high stick. He's laboring again.
Well, he's complaining here to the official, so I'm sure there'll be some now. Let's make sure we get this done.
Hey, guys, he hasn't drawn a penalty in almost 27 seconds. What can we do?
Well, the Leaf door is opening.
This is, I mean, you got to admit, this is getting comical. The Leafs will go to the penalty kill again.
The double minor for high sticking. The play is under review.
So the play is under review. If you've been listening, as it happens in behind the Leaf bench, or in behind the Leaf net. This was after, this was Bobby McMahon taking a swipe at the puck, and yeah, this is going to stay a double minor. If they've already assessed the damage of Sidney Crosby, and this is careless from Bobby McMahon. I know you're just trying to make the right play, get the puck out of the zone, but this is, what is the record for drawing penalties in a certain period of time?
I don't know. He's done a pretty good job so far. But
so he drew the Nylander penalty at 8:17, not the Giordano penalty at 11:15.
The interference
penalty on McCabe at 16:38.
And now this at 18:43.
So he's drawn 8 minutes of penalties in less than 10 minutes.
Well, here's the decision.
Yeah, it's a double minor.
Oh, it's
yeah,
definitely
you got to call
double
it.
Minor.
Video review has determined that the hockey puck hit him in the face. Therefore, we have no penalty.
What? If it did, it was after McMahon hit it.
If it's after he hit it, then it's not a penalty. But to watch it again, it seemed like it was a no-brainer that this was. And
wow.
Crosby doesn't like it. Mike Sullivan, the Penguins coach, doesn't seem to like it. Hopefully we're going to get one more look at it here. But the stick still gets him. I think the puck does the damage, but you would think then it would at least.
Right there. Here's a better angle. Oh, sure it did.
Oh. My God.
Well, I can see being upset by that. And the penalty now has expired, so the Maple Leafs are at full and even strength. Bertuzzi trying to get it out, couldn't. Now it does squirt its way to center, but Domi was unable to make contact, but he'll get it deep into Pittsburgh territory with a minute to go in the second period. O'Connor with a pass on the left wing side. Marcus Pettersson dropping it back. Crosby with a shot that was blocked. And the Leafs trying to work their way up. And then Crosby is in a collision here.
With
and
Matthews.
He's down, and Matthews is down. Both of them are looking at one another, but they stopped play. Why did they stop play?
That's a hell of a photo op.
Oh, wait, the cameramen are on the ice.
Yeah.
It's like watching the old days. Babe Ruth hits a home run, and as he's rounding the bases, 15 guys with cameras with flashes are running to home plate to get the picture of the Bambino touching home plate.
And I think it was, I think there's a red phone in the penalty box. And Gary Bettman, the minute they both went down, said, stop this game.
Stop the game.
We cannot
afford to lose both of them on one play. 48 seconds left in the period. This has been an interesting contest, and the officials have made it that way.
Yeah, how Bobby McMahon does it, at least get two. If you want to determine that it was the puck did the damage, I mean, the stick, that there's no way his stick could not have made contact.
Draw controlled by Toronto. Played into the corner. Malkin trying to break it out. Had it stolen away by Tavares. He'll get it to Nyes. Nyes looks up ice, gets it off on the wing, and McCabe trying to feed it in, looking for Marner. I think anybody made contact with that. It should have been icing, but it was waved off. Malkin back the other way. Cuts to the line, had it stolen. Leafs push it ahead for Nyes. Nyes in over the line, trying to drive the net. Couldn't flip it in front to himself, but the Leafs keep it in at the blue line. Tavares against the boards and finally pushed out at center ice. Leafs shooting it in over the line. Tavares will go after it. Got it in the corner, but couldn't get it in front of the net. Nyes was hovering around there, but the final seconds are going to tick down with Tavares on the seat of his pants and the rondelle somewhere underneath him. So it is a 1-1 tie after 40 minutes of play. The Penguins have had 5 power play opportunities. The Maple Leafs 1, and the shots on goal favor Pittsburgh 19-14.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. The Leafs have some great moments, then go on the penalty kill for a large chunk of the second period, but are able to get that goal to even things up. Like we said, Matthew Nyes must love the Penguins and the Tampa Bay Lightning because he seems to score every time they play against them. 3 for 3 against Pittsburgh this season.
Jim Taddy coming your way with Josh Cloak and our second period intermission. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
They are among the greatest to ever play their sports.
Caitlin Clark is the all-time
split shot with Doak, second spot. 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
They are among the greatest to ever play their sports.
Caitlin Clark is the all-time scoring leader.
They are legends and icons.
Larry Bird hit the shot with Doak, second spot. I don't know how he did it.
And you can hear them right now on the all-new Sirius XM app.
We are here with Iowa superstar Caitlin Clark.
I'm so focused on winning, it's never anything I ever take for granted.
Here comes Larry Bird, the Hall of Famer, and he just won Legend of the Year.
Legend of the Year, isn't that something?
For access to the game's greats, rely on the leader in sports audio, Sirius XM and the Sirius XM app.
NHL Morning Skate.
The general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights, Kelly McCrimmon.
Vegas so quickly has become a place where players want to go.
Players appreciate that we're trying to win, and I think we've come to expect it. It's their livelihood and all of those things that go with it. So we try to do what we can to help that happen.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stiller. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Point with Boomer Gordon.
Andrew Burnett is your Jack Adams winner. 70 points in 52 games. You project that over 82, Jake. That's an 111-point pace. So they've gone head-to-head with the big boys of the West all year. Andrew Burnett inherited a new GM in Barry Trotz and a sinking payroll. And he's got this team playing as well as any team in the NHL.
Point with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. hockey 24/7 on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
This is the NHL. These are pros. You don't want guys to put good power play units on, don't take penalties. You don't want good power play units to score goals when you've given up a whole bunch, kill them. You don't like it, do something about it. If you want to reward your guys who had a good game with a chance to get some more goals and points, do it. If I was a coach, I wouldn't care. Who cares? Worry about your own team. Don't worry about mine.
Sirius XM and a schedule with the Sirius XM app. NHL Morning Skate.
Andrew Burnett, head coach of the Nashville Predators. I think Roman Josi gets underrated nowadays.
I think maybe the consistency that he does it every year, you take it for granted a little bit. I mean, he's done everything in this game. His ability to raise his game is very unique. You know, I've been around some really good, great defensemen. He's right up there with them, and he does get overlooked.
NHL Morning Skate
With Scott Laughlin and Gord Stillett
weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern
on NHL Network Radio.
Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app.
Hey Toronto, I'm David Morsuti, host of the daily Toronto Maple Leafs podcast, Locked On Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network on the Sirius XM app. Every weekday, we bring you the latest Leafs news and analysis, break down all the action, including this game you're listening to right now, and preview the next one. We're giving you everything a Leafs fan could want, all in a daily 30-minute podcast. Download Locked On Leafs right now on the Sirius XM app, available with all trials and popular plans, or where you get your podcasts. Search Locked On.
There is no competition in soccer quite like the UEFA Champions League. And it's on Sirius XM FC.
Kylian Mbappe delivering when it matters most.
The stakes are higher now in the knockout stage, where one goal can transform a club's trajectory.
Jude Bellingham's driving, scores!
And one performance can turn a star into an immortal.
Erling Haaland has 5!
It's the Champions League knockout stage, and all the top matches are on Sirius XM FC 157 and the all-new Sirius XM app.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen, walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Is on TSN 1050 and the Leafs Radio Network. The Leafs live here.
Nylander back to the point. Riley to the near side. Pass in front, they score! Nice on a perfect feed in front of the net by Brody. And the Leafs have tied the game at ones.
That's where we stand after 40 minutes of play. Pittsburgh 1, Toronto 1. TSN after 40. Delivered by 241 Pizza. Get a free medium one-topping pizza with $25 minimum purchase before tax and delivery. Online orders only. Visit 241pizza.com. Use the code FREEM for that free medium. So, Jim Taddy and Josh Cole from The Athletic here tied at 1. We were looking for a response from the Leafs. They came out of the dressing room and responded.
They looked like a peskier, more physical team. They looked like a team that had a little bit more of that playoff mentality front of mind. Sidney Crosby took the brunt of it.
Oh.
Felt like he was getting knocked over shift after shift, inadvertently or not.
Yeah, well, the last couple of minutes, there were 3 occasions he got driven into the net, puck in the face, and then a collision with Austin Matthews.
And with all due respect to, in my books, the greatest player of our generation, that's more of what you want to see from the Leafs.
Yeah.
You want to see a little bit more crashing and banging. You want to see them getting involved physically in their own zone. And the byproduct was a much better period, right? I thought they looked much better. They were transitioning to shutting down defensively in their own zone. What stuck out to me as well, Max Domi mixing it up with Michael Bunting multiple times.
Yeah.
Again, this speaks to a team that has a little bit better sense of the moment and is understanding, here's what we need to do in the moment. You know, get under Michael Bunting's skin, do those kind of things. Again, these are playoff-ready moves. Much better period.
So those 3 things on Crosby that I described, one is McCabe who gets a penalty, the other is McMahon who does not after review, and the other is Austin Matthews. So I think if you even went back a year,
yep,
you were waiting for somebody to do it, and now what you get into this year's edition of the Leafs is they all understand they can do it in their own way.
Well, I think if you're Bobby McMahon, you probably wish you had a take back on that one, because if you do get called, you know, the double minor there, that's a tough look for an NHL rookie to, you know, take a high sticking penalty on, again, Sidney Crosby. The Jake McCabe one looked a little worse than I think it probably was, but you like that. You like him not giving Crosby an inch.
Well, it's at the side of the net, absolutely.
And, you know, with Austin Matthews, just a reminder, I think sometimes people forget, just how big this player is.
Oh.
It's one thing to be able to score the way he does.
You don't want to run into him.
And Sidney Crosby is built like a bulldog, right? And then you've got Austin Matthews, standing him up. Not easily.
Built like a big bulldog.
Right. Again, these are just the kind of things that have an effect on the rest of the team, where you just see one player doing it. It's a reminder that this is what you have to do. And other players just get involved in the same way.
So a year ago it would have been get Luke Shen out here, and hopefully that'll stir people up. But now it's, as I said, I think there's the little bits of everybody can do it. Looking at the penalty sheet, 8:17 Nylander, 11:55 or 11:15 Gio, 16:38 McCabe, and could have been one to McMahon. I mean, what that does is it just totally destroys your flow, your rotational lines.
Yeah, I really didn't like that William Nylander penalty.
No.
Neither did he.
That was on Crosby, too.
Yeah, but you get out of there. Your penalty kill does great work, as it has as of late. And that's important. Their penalty kill is just clicking right now. You're not going to get a lot, or you're not going to get this many penalties come playoff time. But I think that's something that the Leafs have to feel good about. Sheldon Keefe has to feel good about heading into the playoffs, is just how meticulous this penalty kill has been. Right? And, you're going to play Florida, who has a lot of weapons on their power play. So you've got to feel really good about where your penalty kill is at right now.
Yeah, it's definitely going in the right direction. I was just thinking as you were saying that again, the under-the-radar story, it's separate when he makes the save, is Sammy.
Still.
Yeah.
Still. Again, like going into this game, we said he hasn't played a lot of teams in a playoff position as of late. His game has been good, but you wonder about how he's going to play against teams that are a little more aggressive, have a little more talent. I think Ilya Samsonov is showing that his athleticism is in a completely different place than it was at the beginning of the season. Yeah. And his ability to make a big save in a timely save can really reinvigorate the bench.
The athleticism, even if you went back a year ago when things were a lot better for him in terms of not having sort of a crisis in the middle of the season, he did not look like this. He's physically moving around a whole bunch.
There's pace to his movement, too. Yeah. There's a lot of pace in his ability to get from one post to the other. And to some, that would suggest that he's out of position. But these are just the saves you have to make sometimes. And his ability to do that, as soon as that happens, I always look to the bench and see how they react.
Yeah.
And, a standing O right away.
Well, I want to say lateral moves, and it just as moves in general are not, the choreographed, post-to-post thing. I mean, there's a little more to it. So I don't know what they've done there, but it looks pretty impressive.
I think I think that the goaltending staff has just reminded him that at his best, he is athletic. Right? When he was really struggling in the beginning of the season, he looked tentative in his movements. And when you are an athletic goaltender, you have to be able to have the confidence to stretch the way you do.
Yeah.
There's been 2 saves this last period where he was diving to spots and it looked like the puck was going in. Those are not saves he would have made earlier in the season.
Yeah.
Those are saves that the rest of the bench notices, and those are the kind of saves he's going to have to make come playoff time.
Well, but that's what I'm saying, because I think most goalies, when you watch them, have this, the lateral move is went in. Oh, well, I have to make my move. They beat me.
Yep.
But that's not happening here. He's actually sort of rising above that.
He is one of the Leafs' most valuable players right now. And again, that period was a reminder that now, again, I keep saying it, but the rest of the bench sees that, they notice it. The confidence is coming out from the goal in a way it hasn't all season. They need him to steal them some games against the Florida Panthers. When you're the underdog, you need your goaltender to steal you games.
Absolutely. That's completely well said. Josh, thanks very much. We'll talk at the end of the game. 1-1 Leafs and Penguins after 40 minutes of play. This is Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
Here's Here's what's happening on Sirius XM Sports.
Men's college basketball is front and center. John Calipari is leaving Kentucky to become the head coach at Arkansas. Tonight, the national championship game is between UConn and Purdue. Tip time just after 9 p.m. Eastern. Catch the game as well as extensive preview right now and all day on Sirius XM College Sports Radio, Channel 84, and the Sirius XM app.
Sirius XM Sports. Wherever you are, your team plays here.
Hey Toronto, I'm David Morsuti, host of the daily Toronto Maple Leafs podcast, Locked On Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network on the Sirius XM app. Every weekday, we bring you the latest Leafs news and analysis, break down all the action, including this game you're listening to right now, and preview the next one. We're giving you everything a Leafs fan could want, all in a daily 30-minute podcast. Download Locked On Leafs right now on the Sirius XM app, available with all trials and popular plans, or where you get your podcasts. Search Locked On.
There is no competition in soccer quite like the UEFA Champions League. And it's on Sirius XM FC.
Kylian Mbappe delivering when it matters most.
The stakes are higher now in the knockout stage, where one goal can transform a club's trajectory.
Jude Bellingham's driving, scores!
And one performance can turn a star into an immortal.
Erling Haaland has 5!
It's the Champions League knockout stage, and all the top matches are on Sirius XM FC 157 and the all-new Sirius XM app.
The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Toronto, they don't have a face card. Like, they don't have an ace. Morgan's a jack. They have so many non-face cards that these guys are going to have to bullpen by committee. Because the real truth is this. They got a good forward group. But if you don't defend against Boston and Florida, you're not seeing Boston or Florida in round 2. That's the exam, and the test will be on this defense.
The Power Play. Weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app. The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind, wrist the line, and walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Commander?
Yes, Captain.
How did their spaceship escape?
They have fiber, Captain. It's faster than cable.
Faster, huh?
Indeed, Captain. Plus, they have the fastest Wi-Fi in the galaxy.
What else have they got?
Well, it's also the most reliable technology, Captain.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy, indeed.
Get Bell Pure Fiber, Canada's fastest internet and Wi-Fi, starting from $60 a month. Visit bell.ca/purefiber internet for more details and to check availability. Bell. Internet just got better.
The Out-of-Town Scoreboard is brought to you by Maple Toyota. Build your next dream Toyota at Maple Toyota. And check out Maple Toyota's pre-owned inventory arriving daily. Guy, it's time to Toyota. Visit mapletoyota.com. One of the game tonight, Vegas in Vancouver against the Canucks. Puck drop just after 10. So for the Penguins, here's what's at stake. If they win this game tonight, 2 points outright, they tie the Islanders with 85 points. That's good enough for a tie and stay where they are, which is in the outside looking in. And if they get a point, they creep into a tie with Detroit, but play Detroit later in the week, so points kind of not really worth that much to them. We'll see. The third period is next. This is Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN 1050, the iHeart Radio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
Is thinning hair or receding hairline making you self-conscious? Try Hair Grow by New Nordic. Millions of men and women around the world trust Hair Grow. With its patented tocotrienol complex, Hair Grow naturally reduces inflammation in the scalp and is clinically proven to promote new hair growth and increase hair count in as little as 4 months. Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow. Available at Costco, Shoppers Drug Mart, Walmart, Loblaws, Jean Coutu, and London Drugs, or online at Amazon and newnordic.ca.
The world is changing, and Upskills for Work Get Started resources can help you adapt, learn new skills, build confidence, and move forward. Get Started workbooks are free and easy to use, online, anytime and anywhere, so you can learn at your own pace. Whether you're looking for a job or want to move up in your field, Get Started empowers you with skills like collaboration, adaptability, and problem solving. Improve your skills for work and life. Get started today at upskillsforwork.ca.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.ca/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.ca/free.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, first aid and safety supplies, professionally installed AEDs and eye wash stations, floor mats, or mops and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.ca and get ready for the workday.
TSN 1050. Listen anywhere. Stream your favorite shows in your car. Available on Apple CarPlay via the iHeartRadio app. TSN 1050. Everywhere you want it.
Leafs won and the Pittsburgh Penguins won. Heading to the third period, the goal by Matthew Knies was the 218th even strength goal the Leafs have scored this year, which is number 1 in the National Hockey League. And the reason for that success is they don't get many power play opportunities.
Yeah. Of course, the way the power play's gone the last month or so, you'll say we'll take the 5-on-5 time, I suppose.
Oh.
A lot of buzz up here in the press box about
the high
what's
stick.
a penalty, what's not a penalty.
Bill McCreary is here. He is the supervisor of officials, so I'm sure he's getting an earful from the Pittsburgh folks after the Crosby thing. Crosby gets it in over the line, left wing side for O'Connor. He tried to center. Crosby gets to it to get it back to the point. Just kept in. No. Knocked away. And Marner has cleared it all the way down into the Pittsburgh zone. Letang sending it around the boards and back out at center. Sliding on the fresh ice for an icing against Pittsburgh. I didn't want to see how long. Nylander went off, double checking here at 8:17. So that's 43 seconds. And 9 minutes. Yeah. So not long after Pittsburgh, the Leafs, Raquel got the penalty at 9:56. Giordano went off at 11:15. That's the distance that Toronto has had power play. They haven't had a full one. Back of the net now for Domi. Trying to slip it to the side of the net for Bertuzzi. That didn't work. Lyubushkin pinches to keep it alive. Domi works the boards nicely, kicking it back of the net to himself, near corner. One hands it for Riley. Riley couldn't keep it in. Domi does so, and at the side of the net, Matthews was there. But Nedeljkovic is able to cover up on it.
I'm going to stick close to coming up on Austin Matthews as he's gone to the net. As Pierre-Olivier Joseph got his stick up on the Leaf forward.
So the Leafs have been on the power play for 1 minute and 19 seconds. That was their...
Yeah, it started 4-on-4, went to the power play.
Yes.
4-on-4, and then shorthanded.
Draw works to the far side. Along the boards, the Leafs keep it into the corner for Nylander. Nylander just 4 points away from a 100-point season. Against the wall, cleared back of the net. Nylander after it again. Willie works into the corner, stops up. Now tries to work it out in front of the net, is tripped up. A penalty coming to Pittsburgh. And the Leafs are going to the power play for the second time. And it's brought to you by your Ontario Subaru dealers. Power play. Embrace spring weather with a Subaru all-weather drive event. Visit your local Subaru dealer to book a test drive today.
And Erik Karlsson is the Penguin that gets accused of the trip on Nylander. It was all over Nylander, and then Nylander trying to do a tight turn to get away from him, and this is a trip on a stick that catches the right hip of Nylander trying to bust to the net.
Minute 19, the time. Marner, Tavares, Nylander, Matthews, Riley. Tavares wins the draw. Matthews lets the shot go. It scores! Never mind setting it up. Just shoot the puck. 3 seconds into the power play. Austin Matthews closes on that 70-goal plateau.
Very similar to the goal that he scored against Tampa here on Thursday. That was a 3-second power play. What did we have here, Joey?
3, I believe.
This time, Matthews goes glove side. A little more off the right wing against Vasilevsky in the Tampa game. But Austin Matthews, as we've said, scored number 59 and 62 years ago against Alex Nedeljkovic. Has scored number 65 against him here tonight.
3 seconds. The length of the power play, Mr. Ralph. Here's the centering pass into the corner to Domi. He tried to center. It'll come around the boards to Lyubushkin. Back into the corner and around back of the net for Bertuzzi. Now to Domi, trying to free it up. Domi works hard against the boards. Riley pinches. Domi trying to assist, but it'll come free, and Malkin gets it out at center, only to have Matthews steal it back. Matthews heading to the bench. The Leafs are going to get it up on the wing, and Domi will get it into the zone and head to the bench himself. Tavares working around back of the net. Carlson got it out. The Leafs restore it. Tavares brings it right back into the slot. A shot by Bobby McMahon was deflected wide by the blocking glove of Nedeljkovic. A pass back to the point, and a shot whistled wide of the Penguin goal. Kept in by Marner around back of the net. Tavares couldn't come up with it. McMahon trying to pry it free. Penguins do. Pinching, though, is Benoit. Back of the net for Tavares. Tavares coming in front. Couldn't get it to McMahon. Comes in front of the net. Carlson carrying it into the corner. Sends it around the boards. Benoit traps at the left point. Doesn't shoot it at the net. Back of the goal, far side, Crosby. Trying to play it out on the wing. Tavares couldn't come up with it. He needs to get to the bench. And the Penguins, Rust, will get it out and down into the Leaf head. Giordano leaves for David Camp with speed through the neutral zone and in. Camp into the corner, stops it up. Bank pass to the blue line, just kept in by Brody. Camp gets it into the slot, and a shot by Reeves, wired wide of the goal. Kept in by Giordano. Back of the net for Reeves. Reeves spins it back to the blue line. Shot into the near corner by Brody. Back of the net, Reeves with it again to Camp. Camp getting it back to the point. Brody's shot doesn't make it through. And the Penguins will finally get it out at center ice. Pustonen gets it into the Toronto zone. Brody against the boards. Far corner, stops. Playing it in along the boards for defense partner Giordano. These two, of course, were a tandem when they played in Calgary. Which seems like an eon ago, doesn't it?
Does it ever?
Giordano, of course, a Norris Trophy winner with Brody on the tandem. Played back down into the Toronto end. Out of the net, Samsonov to play it on the glass. Blocked there along the boards by Jeff Carter. London native trying to get it freed up, but Nylander comes out of the scrum with it. Here's Willie coming through center with a pass to Morgan Riley. Left wing side for Pontus Holmberg. Back to Riley. Couldn't get a shot away before it was deflected into the corner. Now Riley after it with Nyes in the neighborhood. Got it to Nyes. Nyes along the boards. Couldn't center. And it's grabbed by Ryan Shea and cleared to the line, but not out. Nylander shooting it back in again. Leafs have started this period with some good momentum and good offensive push. Here's Pontus Holmberg looking for Nylander. Played on the backhand, and it's going to be swallowed up by Nedeljkovic and held for a face-off. Austin Matthews from John Tavares on the power play, and the Maple Leafs have a 2-1 lead.
We've had the last couple of successful power plays for the Leafs. Have each taken 3 seconds, right?
Yep.
Matthews against Vasilevsky in the Lightning on Thursday. They didn't get a power play goal Saturday, but a 3-second blast. And this is, I think it was Rickard Rakell came out to block, or maybe it was Rust.
Rust, yeah, it
Number
was
17, 67.
Yep.
That provided a little bit of a screen that Matthews was able to get past.
Leafs win the draw. Giordano sends it to the net. Ooh, didn't miss that corner by much, and I don't think Nedeljkovic saw it at all. Now Matthews unable to come up with it. Malkin turns back in his own zone. Matthews intercepts a pass, and he turns back up ice for Toronto. Matthews to the line and in. Chips it into the corner. Spun around the boards for Domi. Back behind the net to the far side to the point. McCabe keeping it alive for Toronto. Back of the net for Domi. Tried to flip it in front for Bertuzzi. That was blocked. Bertuzzi after a loose puck. Cleared in front of the net. Matthews didn't see it. And it's back out at center ice. Here are the Penguins, though. Brought in over the line by Malkin. Malkin dropping it off on the near side. Carlson plays it in front of the goal. A big collision in front of the net. Matthews went down. It comes to the side of the net. Matthews taking it away. Banking it ahead for Bertuzzi. He's got Domi open on the right side, and a shot is off the blocking glove of Nedeljkovic. Domi thinks better of chasing after a loose puck. Heads to the bench. And the Penguins send a long alley out. You brought back now. Unable to get in over the line was Lyubushkin. Riley will play it up ahead for Marner. Marner to Tavares. Tavares in over the line. Tried to make a move and then lost the handle on the puck. It's cleared out at center. Marner in good position and allows Lyubushkin to the loose puck. He'll get it up on the wing, but too far for the defense partner. Now a shot from the blue line is knocked away, and the Leafs are going to get it to the line, but not out. Letang backhands in around back of the net. Lyubushkin up against the boards, battles for it. Tavares trying to help out. It goes back of the net. Crosby getting it back to the point. Kept in there by Letang. Round back to the net for Brian Rust. Rust works out of the corner. Doesn't go to the forehand and then sends it around back of the net. Crosby trying to settle it there. Plays it back to the point. Kept in by Pittsburgh. Letang shooting, and the deflection attempt by O'Connor went astray, and the Leafs will get it to the line, but not out. Morgan Riley had a chance to clear, and a glove pass by Pittsburgh is going to benefit the Leafs here.
Boy, that is a huge break. They were reeling. Sidney Crosby, he didn't like the non-call, and the high stick by Bobby McMahon. Wasn't thrilled with the glove pass here either, as he is just letting the officials have it.
It is a 2-1 Toronto lead. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
The biggest clubs in world soccer clash in the UEFA Champions League. And it's on Sirius XM FC.
Thrown along to the left foot, finds the top corner.
The quarterfinals begin with a match worthy of a final as defending champion Manchester City clash with the iconic Real Madrid.
Vinicius Jr., wonderful goal.
Real Madrid versus Man City, Tuesday at 3 Eastern on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the Sirius XM app.
The Points with Boomer Gordon.
Andrew Burnett is your Jack Adams winner. 70 points in 52 games. You project that over 82, Jake. That's an 111-point pace. So they've gone head-to-head with the big boys of the West all year. Andrew Burnett inherited a new GM in Barry Trotz and a sinking payroll. And he's got this team playing as well as any team in the NHL.
Points with Boomer Gordon. 1 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
There is no competition in soccer quite like the UEFA Champions League. And it's on Sirius XM FC.
Kylian Mbappe delivering when it matters most.
The stakes are higher now in the knockout stage, where one goal can transform a club's trajectory. Jude Bellingham's driving, scores! And one performance can turn a star into an immortal.
Erling Haaland has 5!
It's the Champions League knockout stage, and all the top matches are on Sirius XM FC 157 and the all-new Sirius XM app.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen line and walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
I want to thank Colby Armstrong and the Pittsburgh TV crew. They gave you and I a nice little shout-out during the game.
I think it was Joe Bowen, longest serving play-by-play man in the National Hockey League at 40-some years, and the other guy. His valet.
Didn't they know Luca Moya's name?
No. I thought I was Luca's assistant.
Well, Mike Lang was the long-serving play-by-play voice of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Really miss him. He had all of beat him like a rented mule, and
that'll take the heat out of a hot kitchen.
Yes, indeed. He had a lot of great phrases.
And I believe it was Mike that came up with Elvis has left the building.
Yeah.
And Phil Bourque, who's done radio and TV for the Penguins this year, former teammate in Baltimore, who would later go on to win 2 Stanley Cups with the Penguins.
Flipped high to center ice. Domi couldn't get it into the zone. And Giordano will skate back in his own territory and give it off to his defense partner. Brody up the middle, off the stick of Matthews into Pittsburgh territory. 12 minutes left to go in the third, and the Leafs on a 1-goal lead as it's played past everybody and down into Toronto. Bit of a gift icing there. Benoit probably was in position to handle it, but he got kind of turned in the wrong direction. But nonetheless, face off back in the Pittsburgh zone.
It would be very interesting the last couple of games if Austin Matthews is hovering around 70 goals. 68, 69.
Will he play, you mean?
Yeah. And I don't have an opinion that couldn't be changed.
You know what you really need to get into politics. That's a brilliant idea. Played high to center ice, knocked down by the glove of the Leafs. It'll be a glove pass as Nyes touches it. McCabe is upset with Drew O'Connor for taking a shot at him.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, McCabe, this is one of those flip passes out of the zone as McCabe was trying to knock it down. O'Connor made some contact, but McCabe had to be better at reading that play, Joe, knowing Matthew Nyes was kind of waited as long as he could not to touch it. Let McCabe touch it and negate the hand pass and try to get back up ice. Instead, I think McCabe was still sour. He's got the glare going on O'Connor.
Well, that nose of his has not really fully healed, so it does look worse than it should.
Scott Sterling.
Yes, Scott Sterling. Leafs with a centering pass just out of the reach of Marner. Got it back to the blue line to Brody. Back to Marner, who handles it nicely off his stick, and a great save made by Nedeljkovic as Marner set up Tavares. Malkin gets it into the zone. A shot is blocked by Samsonov. Puck comes free to Giordano. He'll get it ahead, and Tavares skates it through neutral ice and just launches it high into the zone as Malkin got tangled up with Tavares and took him down. Marner is starting to feel a little more comfortable after missing all of that time, and that is great news. Far side for Shea. He'll play it in around back of the Toronto goal. Riley takes his man up against the boards. The puck comes free to Camp. Camp looks to make a play, and then goes back of the net. And Riley will bank it to the line, and it'll be Reeves who gets it out with a nice pass to Camp. Camp in across the line, dropping for Dewar, and the shot ramps off the stick of Jack to the screen, out of play.
What was impressive about this, and you know, we've talked about Ryan Reeves turning his season around, but Reeves gets control of the puck inside the Leaf line, right in front of the Leaf bench, right wing side. If this was October, November, he might have just chipped it up the boards or might have iced it, or instead he makes a perfect pass cross ice to David Camp. All of a sudden, every part of his game
is showing more confidence. The confidence level is there, right? Knocked down by Domi, batted ahead at a glove pass. You see that? I call that up here. I got that one right. Face off back in the Pittsburgh zone to the right of Alex Nedeljkovic.
For the Penguins after this, they've got the Red Wings, the Bruins, Nashville, the New York Islanders. I don't know if I want to be playing Nashville in the first round. They could be this year's Florida Panthers.
Yep. Back at the point, Leafs win the draw. It goes to Domi. Cross ice for Brody. Brody into the corner. Matthews centering attempt went off a stick, and it's in the screen. Another face-off coming in the Toronto zone when we return. The Leafs 2, Pittsburgh 1. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
The Stanley Cup Playoffs Bracket Challenge presented by Betway.net is back. And now it's time to take your shot. Face off against family and friends. And take aim at predicting this year's playoffs. Whether you're pulling for the Panthers, going big on the Blue Shirts, or seeing stars all the way, who do you think hoists the cup this year? Sign up today for a chance to win exclusive prizes at NHL.com/bracket.
And now it's time for our Subaru weather report. So, Harold, what's it looking like?
Jim, we can expect more thunderstorms as the evening approaches, and then overnight... Oh, hold on. Yeah, can I get 2 number 6s with a side of curly fries?
Test drive during the all-weather drive event.
From the biggest stadiums to the coziest holes in the wall. From house parties to porch hangs to pride celebrations. From your favorite fuzz shop to your local Indian spot. From noodle bars to sports bars to salsa bars. There's a Molson with your name on it. Canadian Ultra XL. Molson. Everyone in. Must be legal drinking age.
Face-off coming in the Pittsburgh zone to the left of Nedeljkovic. The Leafs leading 2-1. Nyes from Brody and Riley at 5:36. And then a power play that lasted all of 3 seconds. Matthews' 65th of the year from John Tavares. And it is 2-1 Toronto.
I'm sure you're the same, but as much as I've been so lucky over the years to meet the likes of Gordie Howe and Bobby Hull and Bobby Orr.
There you go, name dropping again.
Meeting Danny Gallivan and Dick Irvin were as big a thrill. Meeting Mike Lang, Rick Jenneret.
Yep. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more.
I mean, I remember
one of the greatest moments I have in my time was being on a radio show as the Leafs get the puck in front of the net with the great Ray Scott, who was the voice of NFL football and my beloved Green Bay Packers. We were in Vancouver, and a gentleman identified himself, I think it was Bob Scott from Green Bay, wanted me to come on and talk hockey. And he said, my dad's going to be on with us. I said, not Ray Scott. Yeah. Well, I was, I mean, that was one of the biggest thrills of my life.
Yeah, even, Brian McFarlane, you said you saw Brian on the weekend, meeting him for the first time.
And couldn't be nicer people as a shot deflects in front of the Leaf goal. And it's clipped ahead now. A nice play by McMahon to get it up to his stick. And he'll get it down into Pittsburgh territory. Rampage is in there to free it up into the corner. Marner back to the point. Slap shot is whistled wide. Marner tries to chip it to the front of the goal. And it's knocked into the far boards. And now Crosby can't get it out against Marner. He'll play to the near side. Tavares unable to get to it in time. Marner for McMahon. Played over the line, but quickly brought back out by Brian Rust. And on the right wing side, O'Connor with a shot. Blockered away nicely by Samsonov. Played into the corner, and now Rust trying to get to it again, and O'Connor helping him out. O'Connor against the boards. Tavares makes a play to get it free, but it can't get it out at the blue line, and a shot went wide. Rebound in front of the goal. The Leafs are going to ice it. And with 8 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in the third period of faceoff coming in the Toronto end of the building.
For the Leafs, and we talked about this Saturday as well when they had the 4-0 lead in the second period, and actually the 4-2 lead into the third, how important it is to have a flawless third period. Give nothing up. And it was kind of a terrible third period, unless you're the team that had the 2-goal lead, that nothing much happened. And this is another playoff scenario, isn't it?
It is.
2-1 score.
Carlson with a shot. That's the 5th shot on goal in the period, and Samsonov was able to see that all the way and take it on the chest and hold for a face-off.
Pittsburgh really hasn't pushed since the Matthews goal, have they? I mean, Ilya Samsonov has made a couple of difficult stops, but there's another one where they're able to box everybody else. Samsonov sees it all the way from the right point, makes the stop.
Malkin was able to win the draw. Carlson at the blue line, walks to the middle, winds, doesn't shoot it, dishes off, and a centering pass went astray, and it's going to come to the line and out at center ice. Carlson goes back into his own zone. Domi is up forechecking, then thinks better of it, and Carlson starts back at center. He got to the blue line, knocked down there by Giordano, brought on by Brody, but he's by himself. Brody's in over the line, and a drop pass for Domi, and it was knocked away. Could have been a penalty there. Now here's Bertuzzi, and his shot went wide, looking for a redirect there from Domi. Carlson in front of the net will bank it out into neutral ice. Rink-wide feed by Crosby went astray, and nicely moved out there now by Jake McCabe. McCabe comes to the red line and shoots it in. It'll go around to the far side. Ryan Shea gets it out, but too much mustard on it. Maybe a little ketchup, and it's icing.
A quiet third period, though, hasn't it, since Matthews put the Leafs up 2-1. Really like the way the Leafs have played. Instead of sitting back, just trying to protect back on their heels, but they've gotten into trouble this season. They've been thinking forward. I mean, we're still going to get the push from the Penguins. And the desperation of a team that is trying to get into the postseason.
Draw one by Toronto. Reeves got a shot away, but it was blocked. Dewar sends it into the corner. Reeves trying to protect it there against Shea. Got it back to the net for Camp. Camp gets it to the point. Riley's shot went wide. And on to the far side. Reeves with a hit there on Shea. But the Penguins get it out and over the line. And a shot wired over top of the goal. Rebound off the side of the net. Into the near corner it goes. Penguins get it back to the point. Working along there. Trying to get a shot. Comes in front, knocked away by the Leafs. Now Reeves trying to get it out, kept in by Shea, and his shot is into the glove of Samsonov. He will stop play, and a change coming with 6:52 left to play in the third period for the Maple Leafs.
I thought this is where the trouble was going to come. We've talked about how well they've defended in the third period. We've talked about how great the fourth line has been.
Yeah, let's not have it.
The fourth line survives. Bit of a flurry by the Penguins here. Pittsburgh out shooting the Leafs 26-21. But trail in this game 2-1.
Draw one by Pittsburgh. Here's Letang working into the corner, backhanded wide of the net. The rebound has come all the way back out at center ice. It forces Pierre-Olivier Joseph back into his own zone. Bobby McMahon unable to get it away from him. Penguins will play it down into the corner by Crosby. That's drawn a crowd in there. Everybody looking for a loose puck to come away. It's centered in front of the net. A shot by Joseph and goes to the goal line, and they score. Drew O'Connor. Samsonov couldn't get to the loose puck after it hit him. And O'Connor stepped behind the Leaf goaltender and fired it into the net for his 14th goal of the season, and it's tied at 2.
I'm going to ask you, because, I mean, this might have been redirected before it got to Samsonov, but the number of goals the Leafs give up this way. Wrist shots from the point that end up in the back of the net, and you see Ilya Samsonov kind of froze like he had no idea where it was again. And he just looks over his left shoulder and watch it gets tapped in. Do you not agree that that's a concern? The Leafs do not score many from that range, but boy, they seem to give up a ton. And you can go back to Brandon Montour scoring from long range. Joseph Wall's had his trouble at times on goals in the high slot, not being able to pick it up or track it through bodies in front. Now, part of the reason the Leafs don't score a lot, they don't have a lot of guys for the blue line that can get it through.
Or try to.
Yeah, and you're right. There's not a lot of attempts.
No. Puck at the Toronto blue line. Knocked in offside by Raquel. And there'll be a face-off outside the Toronto zone when play resumes. 5:57 to go, third period. Game tied 2-2. And you're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
The 2024 election on Sirius XM.
To fight for our democracy. That's been the work of my first term.
Thrilled to be back with thousands of proud American patriots.
Where every voice matters.
I'm as far left as you can get.
This president has not complied with his oath.
Left, right, center, decided, or undecided.
We have to use our voices. We have to stand up for what we believe.
The only place for every perspective and your voice about your vote on Sirius XM.
Hockey 24/7 on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
This is the NHL. These are pros. You don't want guys to put good power play units on, don't take penalties. You don't want good power play units to score goals when you've given up a whole bunch, kill them. You don't like it, do something about it. If you want to reward your guys who had a good game with a chance to get some more goals and points, do it. If I was a coach, I wouldn't care. Who cares? Worry about your own team. Don't worry about mine.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91. And on your schedule with the Sirius XM app. NHL Morning Skate.
Andrew Burnett, head coach of the Nashville Predators. I think Roman Josi gets underrated nowadays.
I think maybe the consistency that he does it every year, you take it for granted a little bit. I mean, he's done everything in this game. His ability to raise his game is very unique. You know, I've been around some really good, great defensemen. He's right up there with them, and he does get over them.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app. Hockey lives here.
Suzuki sweeps it. There's a chance. Rebound, Caulfield shoots and scores.
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Joe Bowen along with Jim Ralph. 5:57 to play here in the third period. And the Maple Leafs and the Penguins are tied 2-2. Final 2 weeks of the regular season. Leafs win the face-off. And a lead pass bounced over Matthews' stick and turns into an icing. So it'll be brought back into the Leaf end. O'Connor from Joseph and Crosby.
Sidney Crosby. Time of the goal, 13:38.
So for Crosby now, that's do the quick tally, 17 points in his last 9 games.
Boy, he is literally willing this team to get into the postseason, isn't he?
And, you know, and talking about some Hart Trophy considerations.
Yep.
Ovechkin's got to be in the same boat. Maybe Charlie Lindgren, goaltender for the Capitals.
Now Domi works it into the corner for Bertuzzi. Tried to get it back to the blue line, but it squirts out at center. And the Leafs have to go back for it. Now Matthews trying to slip it in, played it into the left wing corner. Crosby sends it around the boards, and it's carried by Erik Karlsson to center. Cross the line for O'Connor. He has tied the game here. Played around back of the net. Matthews got it freed up, and Nylander starts out. Willie Nylander to center. Couldn't get around one defender. Kicks the puck free for Nyes. Nyes bodied by Crosby, and the Penguins come along with the puck. Letang shooting it into the Toronto zone. Tavares chipping at it, but Crosby comes away with a centered in front. A deflection in front of the goal by Brian Rust is stopped by Samsonov, and he's able to find the rebound as well.
Very simple shoot in by the Penguins. Around the net, and Sidney Crosby traps it on the far side and quickly gets Adelia Samsonov. Looking for some help with a redirection or a rebound. But I think for a lot of Canadians, and it's probably no different than Paul Henderson or Darryl Sittler, Sidney Crosby, the goal he scored in Vancouver at the Olympics, buys him lifetime of admiration from any Canadian, no matter where he plays.
Here is Camp, a backhand towards the net, scooped aside by Nedeljkovic. Here's Dewar looking for a man in front. Played it back of the net for Camp. Camp got tangled up there with St. Ivany, who plays it up on the wing. Camp unable to knock it back. Played hard off the boards, but it struck the referee and is cleared now to center ice by Pittsburgh. Leafs will change. McCabe dishes it off, and Nylander turns. Nice move to gain the line. Nylander cuts across into the slot. He let the shot go, and unable to get to that was Nyes. Backhanded along the boards, trapped by Riley. Fed back in, but Malkin steals. A long lead pass looking for Bunting, but it was out of his reach. How is that not icing? A centering pass now for Malkin. Malkin in the corner. Malkin works back towards the point. Sends it to the side of the goal. Bunting got it back in front. It comes back to Malkin, closing with a shot. And a split save made by Samsonov. Another shot is stopped. Nylander trying to chip it out and will get it down into Pittsburgh territory. Leafs are changing. Crosby, who may not come off the ice, shoots it into the Leaf zone, and a race for the puck is won by McCabe, who tipped it up into the air, and the Leafs come away with it. Marner will skate it out at center. One hands it down into the zone. Tavares after it as it goes back to the net. Marner knocked down there, but Tavares unable to come away with it. Played to center ice. McCabe trying to shoot it back in, had it blocked by Rust, who'll play it deep into the Toronto end. Benoit's pass, nowhere near anyone. Comes to center. Letang shoots it right back in again, and it'll be handled as both teams change with 2:49 to go in regulation time. Here's McMahon in across the line. Works around back of the net. McMahon playing it up on the wing, but it's broken up, and the Penguins start away and get it down into the Leaf end. Riley hustles back and chips it around the boards. Carlson dropped, got it back to the point. Back of the net for Carter. Cut off by the Leafs. Fed ahead, and it'll come to the line and out. Pittsburgh shoot it right back in again. Out of the net is Samsonov. Into the corner and back of the net now for Morgan Riley. Both teams changing, and Riley steps out from behind his own goal. A pass off the boards, chipped in over the line by Bertuzzi. Domi unable to really get any forecheck going. Penguins get it out and deflect it down into Cal. That draws traffic into the corner, and Matthews trying to get it away, had to come off the skate, played back towards the blue line, but the Leafs are going to get to it first. Domi will get to the red line and just lay it into the corner. He'll go to the bench as Bertuzzi tries to waste as much time down there while support arrives, but it is Malkin who takes the puck and brings it to center. Long shoot-in, gloved easily by Samsonov. Camp comes right back for the Leafs. Fourth line on for Toronto with 1:25 to go in the third period. Played high to center ice by the Penguins. Leafs send it right back. Dewar gets it into the zone. Reeves hustling in, trying to get to the forecheck, but can't. Crosby at center. Plays to an open wing. Leafs will go back, and Riley will restore as he waits for teammates to change. Far side for Brody. Brody holds, played it ahead for Nylander. Nylander slid it off on the left wing, and then Riley shot it into the zone. Chip back out at center ice for Carter. Carter got it ahead, but Eller couldn't get in over the line. It'll be a very important point for the Pittsburgh Penguins with a chance to get more. Laid high into the Leaf zone. Played off the boards, but not out. Back of the net now for Samsonov to Riley. Riley to Benoit. And Simon Benoit back of the net leaves for Nylander. Nylander playing it to himself off the boards. Had it turned over. But there's McCabe to restore and get it back to Willie, who's just going to punch it out at center ice this time. Now he gets it again. Now he works through center with a pass ahead for McMahon. McMahon in over the line. Tavares is there. 2 seconds left. And that'll do it.
Well, I will say one thing, and you've got to admire the Pittsburgh Penguins, despite the fact they'd come back to tie the game. They didn't sit back and try to guarantee they were going to get the extra point. They continued to attack and had the Leafs on their heels.
31-22. They outshoot the Maple Leafs, and it is a 2-2 tie heading to overtime. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Mishaps happen. It's just a part of life. At Iris, we've got your back with our no matter what guarantee. Free with every eyewear purchase. Plus, our eyewear starts at just $299. No compromises, just the perfect fit for your style and budget. Don't wait any longer. Head to iris.ca and book your appointment today. Your eyes deserve the best, no matter what. Iris, premium eye care, stylish eyewear.
For 35 years, Kids Help Phone has provided free confidential support to millions of young people across Canada. On Sunday, May 5th, we invite you to raise funds for youth mental health by taking part in BMO Walk So Kids Can Talk. This is your chance to help every young person in Canada feel out loud. Register, fundraise, donate, or walk. Join the movement at walksokidscantalk.ca.
First up with Korolnik and Koliakovo. Weekday morning 6 till 10 on TSN 1050.
You ain't first, you're last. Maple Leafs now have 98 points. The Florida Panthers have 102. But the Leafs still have another game in hand. Florida has 4 games left. The Leafs 6, including this one. And the Leafs are going to have to win it outright because Florida's got 39 regulation wins. The Leafs have 32. And this will not be a regulation win if, in fact, they win in overtime or shootout.
Yeah, one thing that Pittsburgh has over the teams who are trying to get in are the regulation wins as well.
31.
I mean, yeah, so it could come down to that. There could be a 2 or 3 way tie for the last couple of spots, whether it's third in the Metro or the second wild card seed.
Detroit has 27. The Islanders, who hold third spot with 85 points, have 26. Washington has 28. So here we go. Leafs to the left and the Penguins to the right. Puck is dropped and it's back down into the Toronto zone, and Riley racing after it, and so is Drew O'Connor. The puck comes free, and it is whistled by Eller over top of the goal and all the way down into Pittsburgh territory.
Not sure we've seen Max Domi with Austin Matthews in overtime yet.
Now here the Penguins in over the line with Carlson. Carlson into the corner, centers, and it was blocked, and the Leafs try to work it out, and they do. Domi starts away at center. He's going to drop it back. Leafs are going to change, and Riley will skate it back into his own end. Nylander takes the pass. Nylander coming through center. He's out there with Marner. Marner gets the pass and in across the line. Going hard to the front of the net was Brody. Marner didn't shoot it. Marner with it now. Drops it off for Nylander. Nylander got an avenue right to the net. He's in a goal! Oh, and a stop made by Nedeljkovic. Kept alive by Brody. Back of the net for Willie. Nylander around back of the net. Pokes it to open ice. Works it back towards the blue line. Gave it to Marner. Marner to Brody. Brody on the near half boards. How about a TJ Brody winning goal for his first of the year? And Brody going to the bench. On to Matthews. Matthews in with Marner. Matthews against the boards. Too well covered, but comes away with the loose puck. One hands it to the side. Leafs have to decide who's on and who's off. Marner gets it back to Matthews in front of the net for McCabe, who scores! Jake McCabe is the hero in overtime. Matthews setting him up, but it was Alphonse and Gaston trying to get off the ice. This is the big play.
You could almost hear the parents screaming from the stands. But Austin Matthews picks up the puck near the boards, left wing circle, looks up, and Jake McCabe is there, and McCabe walks in on the right wing dot, and I think this goes 5-hole on it to give the Leafs the win. And it's an important couple of points when you consider that Tampa was within 2 of the Leafs heading into the game in Montreal Saturday night. The Leafs won both games in hand, so it probably pushed Tampa out of the picture. We may see some importance to the final 2 games of the regular season for the Leafs in Florida.
Because of home
and
ice.
Tampa, yes. And yet, because both teams have been so good on the road this year, the Panthers and the Leafs, nobody may look at that as a priority at this point.
Leafs win it by a score of 3-2. The postgame show coming your way. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
SiriusXM's 2024 NFL Draft Preview Show. Experts from NFL Radio, college sports radio, and fantasy sports radio analyze the top prospects in the NFL Draft, covering each player's time in college and how they'll transition to the National Football League. Touchdown, Washington! The SiriusXM Sports 2024 NFL Draft Preview Show. Wednesday night at 7 Eastern on College Sports Radio Channel 84 and NFL Radio Channel 88.
NHL Morning Skate.
The general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights, Kelly McCrimmon.
Vegas so quickly has become a place where players want to go.
Players appreciate that we're trying to win, and I think we've come to expect it. It's their livelihood and all of those things that go with it. So we try to do what we can to help that happen.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellar. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Toronto, they don't have a face card. Like, they don't have an ace. Morgan's a jack. They have so many non-face cards that these guys are going to have to bullpen by committee. Because the real truth is this. They got a good forward group. But if you don't defend against Boston and Florida, you're not seeing Boston or Florida in round 2. That's the exam, and the test will be on this defense.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
Hey Toronto, I'm David Morsuti, host of the daily Toronto Maple Leafs podcast, Locked On Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network on the SiriusXM app. Every weekday, we bring you the latest Leafs news and analysis, break down all the action, including this game you're listening to right now, and preview the next one. We're giving you everything a Leafs fan could want, all in a daily 30-minute podcast. Download Locked On Leafs right now on the SiriusXM app, available with all trials and popular plans, or where you get your podcasts. Search Locked On.
There is no competition in soccer quite like the UEFA Champions League. Delivering when it matters most. The stakes are higher now in the knockout stage, where one goal can transform a club's trajectory. Jude Bellingham's driving scores! And one performance can turn a star into an immortal. Erling Haaland has 5! It's the Champions League knockout stage, and all the top matches are on SiriusXM FC 157 and the all-new SiriusXM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen, walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on SiriusXM.
Join me, Scott Laughlin, and Gord Stellick, along with former NHLer Mike Johnson for NHL Morning Skate, weekday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91.
The best hockey lives here.
Martins gets it back, stick handles to the backhand, moves in front, score!
NHL play-by-play on SiriusXM.
Is Leafs Game Night on TSN 1050 and the Leafs Radio Network. The Leafs live here.
On to Matthews. Matthews in with Marner. Matthews against the boards. Too well covered, but comes away with the loose puck. One hands it to the side. Leafs have to decide who's on and who's off. Marner gets it back to Matthews in front of the net for McCabe, who scores! Jake McCabe is the hero in overtime. Matthews setting him up, but it was Alphonse and Gaston trying to get off the ice. This is the big play.
Comical at the end, and the Leafs win it 3-2 in overtime. Welcome to Leafs Game Night live from Scotiabank Arena, the post-game show. Jim Taddy, Josh Cloak from The Athletic, and Jimmy Ralph kind enough to hang around. And Ralphie, that was a lesson in why Pittsburgh is still in it. They hung around, got the tying goal, and the Leafs prevailed in overtime.
Yeah, I think from a Leafs standpoint, I think you go back to the game against the Montreal Canadiens as well. Even though the 4-0 lead became 4-2, the best thing about that game was a terrible third period where neither team had much going on.
Yep.
And that's good for the team that's got the 2-goal lead. And we have seen the Leafs have some troubles. They do give up the tying goal to Pittsburgh late, but these are the types of games you're going to get into in the playoffs where you have to be patient. You have to be persistent. You have to wait. So I think there was a lot of good to it. I think among the things, I thought Mitch Marner was noticeable again. He was back to mid-season form.
He's getting close, isn't he, to really having one of those Mitch Marner breakout games.
But the one guy that I think they want to get going is Willie Nylander, 8 and 1 goal, 3 points in his last 7 or 8. And you could see tonight for the first time in a while that he seemed frustrated or, trying to push it. And did turn the puck over a number of times, but he would be the one guy, and you wonder if the line combinations have affected him the last couple of games. But he's one guy that I would look at down the stretch is get him back, because let's face it, he's probably been the last 5 or 6 playoffs their best forward when it's come to the playoffs. So you'd like to find him hitting his stride again.
But in that regard, you don't worry about him as much.
No.
Because you know what he's capable of in the playoffs. You mentioned all the things that went well for them. You get contributions from guys that you don't normally expect. I don't think anybody had Jake McCabe game-winning overtime goal on their bingo card tonight. Again, you talk about like what you need in the playoffs. It's goals from the strangest of people at kind of the strangest of times to get you through. To just, serve as a reminder of the depth that you have. But you get a Jake McCabe overtime goal, and you get your whole team feeling good about that, because you know that, yes, Austin Matthews, 65 tonight, but you also know you don't have to rely on that one horse the whole time.
Yeah,
and that's important.
And the other teams did have, or the other lines had opportunities as well. The fourth line had some great moments again where they played a lot in the offensive zone. Matthews was buzzing. I still think 16 and 34 end up playing together by the time we get to the postseason. I think this is sort of the experimental phase of how much depth do you have, because a big part of that is what's Nylander's third line minutes going to be if in fact you're going to keep him there. And I don't think that's a distraction right now or a frustration for Nylander, but. These guys, they like to get their 18 to 21 minutes a game to feel that they've got their kind of flow. So a lot of things will be interesting to see how they play out. But I'll tell you one thing. Being able to sit at home and put a game on every night that means something has been a lot of fun down the stretch. Starting, Saturday watching Tampa and Pittsburgh in the afternoon. Yeah. It's been a fun time of year, and the Pittsburgh Penguins, who lead, by the way, this whole group in regulation wins for the tiebreaker. Even though they lose, that's a huge point for them.
We determined in the second intermission that Samsonov is much more athletic than in the past.
Yes, that was my determination, by the way.
So my question to you is, the goalies have that sort of choreographed lateral movement thing, and if it goes in, it goes in. But he seems to have risen above that. He's moving around differently, isn't he?
Yeah, part of it is when you talk about staying square, going post to post, there are guys that'll try to push just to get over, trying to go the post from the right hip to the left hip. Other guys will try to turn to square up their upper body, and to me, those are the guys that are most athletic, whereas it's an entire body shift. It's the shoulders and the head both turn to track the puck, and you get over, as opposed to that move where you could end up falling on your face because you're not going to be able to get there in time or just get the bottom part of the net. So that's one of the things I've noticed with him is you watch even that save he made in Buffalo. Remember he stopped the first one and the rebound looked like it was going to be a no-brainer. You could see the shoulders still square up. Dominic Hasek was great. It seemed like he was always able to square up to where the puck was, even in desperation. And you like that about Samsonov.
Yeah, and that's a recent ad. He wasn't like that a year ago.
Yeah, so much of confidence is tied to emotion, isn't it?
Yeah.
As much as you say he's confident now, but it's more of an emotion that you feel good, and whether it's the argument of what comes first, right? Yeah. Is it the success makes you feel good and gives you confidence, or do you have to feel good to be able to get to that point? But for Ilya Samsonov, it really has been to me the story of the year for the Leafs. Ryan Reeves might be a close second. Bobby McMahon maybe a third. But Ilya Samsonov, because we've seen Jack Campbell, we've seen Cal Peterson from L.A. to Philadelphia to the minors, where sometimes you don't get it back. And this isn't exactly the easiest market to try to get it back.
Ilya Samsonov named the Leafs nominee for the Masterton. Yep. Did not want to talk about it at all when he was asked about it. He only wanted to talk about what comes next for him moving forward. Obviously, he's appreciative of the nominee, which comes from, the very graceful and very handsome Toronto Professional Hockey Writers Association chapter. I added that color in there, but he does not want to talk about what happened. He only wants to focus on getting his mind right for the playoffs.
And you understand it because part of the award, perseverance, is, boy, we thought you were gone.
Yep.
you were so bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, who wants to dwell on that part of it? And and I think the key to Ilya Samsonov's turnaround is to be able to have that block that, it's about today, it's about this game, this moment. You can't control the future, you can't control the past, and so you certainly understand. And you know what, that might be, meetings with a sports psychologist and everything else that says, look, this is the mindset that you've got to have. And even if you're asked about it, politely try to steer the conversation. Whoever helped him the most, hats off to you. And I guess we really shouldn't expect him to explain what his journey's been when so many people have already narrated it for him.
True, and it's not over. The best may be yet to come.
Well, we hope, right? I mean,
well,
I guess the other thing as well, Joseph Wall, you'd like to see get into a little more of a rhythm as well, because we can go through a lot of playoffs and teams that have gone on to deep playoff runs that don't finish the playoffs with the goalie they started. And even, Sergei Bobrovsky, undoubtedly the Conn Smythe candidate for Florida last year, doesn't get a start until, the fourth game of that series against the Boston Bruins.
It was Line that got them in and continued the early part. Ralphie, thanks for hanging.
And by the way, Alex Nedeljkovic, 2 years ago, gave up Austin Matthews' 59th and 60th as a member of the Detroit Red Wings, so a little ironic that it was 65 tonight.
Pass that along.
You can use that.
Thank you. Classic Ralphie exit right there. Jim Ralph, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're wondering what this game does to Pittsburgh, they have 84 points. Detroit has 84 points, but Detroit's played one less game, and they both play each other in Detroit later this week. So obviously things are uneven at this point. If they did finish tied with Detroit, they'd get in because they have more regulation wins, but that's a next week thing.
This last week and a half of the NHL regular season is going to be so much fun to watch.
Well, this race, I mean, I call it a crawl because you've got, teams that are just sort of inching by, and you saw it, how Pittsburgh played tonight. They were down 2-1. They didn't do anything really bad. They sniffed around, and when the opportunity presented itself, they pounced on it.
Every game matters.
Yeah.
Every game matters in the NHL. As much as we like to convince ourselves otherwise on Mondays and, December, January, whatever it is. There's so many opportunities that I'm sure so many of those teams wish they had back.
Oh.
Look, I liked a lot of what we saw from Pittsburgh tonight. You said it best. They hung around.
Yeah, they
right?
did.
And I think if Sidney Crosby gets a few more shifts in overtime, maybe we're having a different conversation.
I kind of like the team because of who they have on the ice. Again, I think we said this before, but when you watch Malkin, Crosby, Letang, Carlson out there, among others, you go, how does this not happen?
Yeah, and it would be pretty remarkable for the Penguins to essentially have sold at the deadline. They sold the biggest asset,
right?
The biggest fish available, and then get into the playoffs. You kind of do a bit of a retool on the fly there if you're Kyle Dubas, but I think there's something there. I still think if I'm picking, two of those teams to get in, they're one of my teams. Just because of Sidney Crosby, what we saw from him tonight, what we've seen from him all season. Just, again, I know I keep using this, but willing this team in at 37.
They've got 4 games left. So, this is how slim that is. They're only 1 point behind the Islanders, who have third in the Metropolitan. And here's how things, if you're a Pittsburgh fan, you're hoping for this. Washington goes into Detroit tomorrow night. Washington wins. Pittsburgh beats Detroit Thursday. And then all of a sudden, but if it doesn't happen that way, they're in trouble.
My head is spinning just with the machinations that you've kind of laid out for me there.
And all those 3 teams, Detroit, Pittsburgh, well, let's be honest here. The Islanders, Detroit, Pittsburgh, and Washington are separated by 2 points. And that's 2 playoff spots. Obviously, the Islanders, Pittsburgh, and Washington have better chances because any one of them could finish third or in the second wild card spot. Detroit's only way in is the wild card.
Are you eliminating Philadelphia?
Yeah, that's just nasty.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's. Even though they're tied with Washington point-wise, it just has a different feel to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's just this cloud kind of hanging over that team. I think we know, part of the reasons why.
Well, it goes back to the benching of the captain, doesn't it?
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, it is. In the ensuing post-game or coach interview availabilities.
Even though it's our job as the media to ask questions and get involved, that's the kind of team where I'm sure there are people in that organization that just wish things were a lot more quiet.
Quiet is the key word. Just go about your business.
Just the more attention that is drawn, it can really hurt the team. I mean, again, bit of a chicken and the egg thing, but benching your captain is probably not a good way to keep things quiet. But again, this is how slim the margins are. And you will look back on the season. Teams will look back on the season and say, I wonder if we did this. I wonder if we did this. Because we're talking about 2 or 3 points here.
And every team has their own story. Detroit, if you went back into the late January, early February, was coasting. They had the first wild card spot, and they just right off the edge. We're talking Philadelphia, Washington, Pittsburgh, and the Islanders separated by 2 points.
And one of those teams is just going to have to earn it, probably by winning out. That's what it's going to take at this point.
That's the guarantee. If you could win out, if you've got 4 or 5 games left and you run the table, you're likely in. I don't know how you wouldn't get in.
Well, again, that's how slim the margins are. But is this a vote for or against expanding the NHL playoffs? Because you look at it on one hand and you say, well, if there's 4 or 5 teams fighting to get in, then perhaps, we should have a play-in game where you give all these chances for these teams that are close. Or do you say, if none of these teams are separating themselves from the pack, does anybody really deserve to get in? This has been a really hot topic debate.
I wouldn't be like, I like the play-in in basketball. It works for me. It keeps things sort of going. Like you've got the 9 and 10 teams in basketball that keep it going. The play-in obviously doesn't last long, and I could be talked into it because we're only talking a matter of days that you tack on the front of the playoff run. I wouldn't mess with the 16 that get in, or when you end up with 16 because it's a nice package. The 4 rounds, that works. I wouldn't expand it that way, but a play-in I can be talked into.
Well, I'm sure some teams like the Leafs would enjoy a few days off. Right, like to bring it back to the Leafs. I mean, we're looking at a scenario.
So like play in Saturday.
Sure.
Yeah, that
because
works.
we're looking at a scenario where the Leafs are going to finish the regular season on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Have a day off after back-to-back.
Right.
Have a day off Thursday. Have a practice Friday. Start on Saturday.
But they'll be in their location.
Sure.
If they choose to stay there.
But the point is like it's just not a lot of time off. It's not a lot of rest and regroup. Not much of a reward for finishing as well as they expectedly will in the regular season.
I don't think anybody would have much of an issue with a play-in. So you're talking about 2 teams. So let's just do it with what we have.
Sure.
Tampa and Detroit are as we speak are the wild card teams, and then you would add Pittsburgh and Washington as playing in with those other that's
like
how it would work in basketball.
7, 10,
it would be
8,
7 and 8, 9 and 10, and those 4 teams would. I can't explain how they do it, but
1 or 2 games.
Those are the 4 teams involved.
Yeah, 1 or 2 games back to back.
Yeah.
I mean,
however, I would argue that by saying the NBA always goes with a conference seed and not a divisional seed, which I like, and so I would put the Islanders in that play-in and move Tampa up. I don't like the divisional stuff. Doesn't work for me at all.
Not at all. It felt like you're overcomplicating things. It feels like you're just...
Well, you're trying to. It's like double branding. It's like you got the playoffs, you've got the conference seed, and now you're breaking it down to this. And here's my problem with the divisional stuff. Well, they play more games in their own division. Toronto played Montreal 3 times this year, and I think they played Detroit 3 times.
They didn't play Detroit at home.
No. So where is that divisional component?
Yep. I agree with you.
You compromise it to do something else. So if you've compromised it, it's gone.
I think there just needs to be a little bit more of a reward for teams that do well in the regular season. Like the regular season as it is, I don't want this to sound sacrilege, but it feels a little meaningless enough. You need to give these teams that do so well, and for a larger quantity of games, you need to give them some kind of a reward. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's more games off. Maybe it's I don't know, better seating. If you get
you went to a conference seating. 1 against 8.
Sure. A team like
Absolutely.
the Rangers deserves to play a tired team. A team like the Rangers that has done so well over 82 games instead of a team that, could potentially just fall backwards into the playoffs, right? They deserve they deserve something. 82 games this regular season is a long, long grind.
Well, I don't know that it would be any different. They're going to end up playing. If the season finished today, they would play Detroit in the first round, wouldn't they?
Well, with a play-in game, I guess. I mean, you get a little bit of.
You're talking about a buffer between the regular season and the start of the playoffs.
And with a play-in game, you get some extra excitement because there's more teams playing in these short must-win games. You give the likes of the Canucks, the Rangers a longer break, for example. And you just give them something to play for down the stretch.
I could be talked into it as long as when the regular season ended on Wednesday night, we're not talking about starting the playoffs a week later.
Well, the regular season...
It's not going to change. That pays the bills. There's nothing you can do about that.
I thought about how, we were talking before the game about how Sheldon Keefe was he was asked about what his kind of goals or hopes were for the rest of the season. And it was essentially, I'm paraphrasing, but get through it and get through it healthy. And when Austin Matthews collides with Sidney Crosby, and there's that split second where you're like, neither player looks okay.
No, well, that's a pretty jarring hit.
It's an argument against how long the regular season is.
I know, but it is everybody has to play it. It's fair that way. And sometimes when it's your year, you don't get hurt. And when it's not your year, you get hurt. There's not much you could do about that.
No, there's not. It just, we're talking about, we spend so much time talking about these teams that may or may not get in because these games are starting to feel for the Leafs like as long as they get through healthy, regardless of the result, that's a win.
I buy that. We'll come back and talk further on this. This is Leafs Game Night live from Scotiabank Arena, TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
And now it's time for our Subaru weather report. So, Harold, what's it looking like?
Jim, it's a lovely spring day here on the beach. I came here for some solo time, like I do, but I got hungry instantly, so I went to Bob's Boardwalk Bistro when Bob says, "Sorry, cash only." Luckily for me, I always have a $5 bill stashed in my sandals, so I give it to Bob, and he says, "We don't accept foot money here." And
Thanks,
so he
Harold.
talks, but now
Weather
I'm starving,
reports
and I'm
don't
looking
matter
for
when
something
you
to
drive
eat.
a Subaru. Visit your local Subaru dealer today and book a test drive during the all-weather drive event.
Breaking story from Alpine News Network. Sandra and Kabir are celebrating 50 years of marriage by turning their boring bedroom into a spicy one. Oh my. Alpine Credit sent a super strength hero to help with a home renovation loan. New floors, windows, a heart-shaped button that plays this tune. Okay, I think that's quite enough. Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. District license 12616.
It's hard to make time for everything on your to-do list, especially at this time of year. But blood and plasma donors are essential to helping meet patients' needs. We're asking you to add a donation to your to-do list.
Because our communities depend on it.
Because it's critical to my son's treatment.
Because you might need it in an emergency.
Make donating a life-saving habit. For patients and the people who love them, you'll make all the difference. Visit blood.ca to book a donation appointment at a Canadian Blood Services location near you.
Leafs Game Night live from Scotiabank Arena. Leafs win 3-2 over the visiting Pittsburgh Penguins in overtime. Jim Taddy and Josh Cloak from The Athletic with you. Josh, I looked at the standings. They didn't move. Sometimes when you're in a break, something happens. But there's only one other game tonight, and it's just starting. So there we go, Vegas and Vancouver.
Wonderful update. Thank you for that.
There is. Now you're up to date, and we've got time to kill. No, I agree with you. I mean, this is a persevere situation for the Leafs. Yeah, they can run take a run at Florida, but really the goal here is to do well in the postseason.
You got 5 games left.
Yeah,
it's between Ilya Samsonov and Joseph Woll. You're going to hope to get at least a game, maybe 2 for Liljegren and Järnkrok back. You're going to hope, as Ralphie said, that William Nylander finds his stride a little bit and just, gets his confidence at the high that we know it can get at before the playoffs. You're going to hope that Mitch Marner has one of his kind of breakout multi-point games where he starts feeling it, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Really?
But I guess the ultimate question that comes out of this, can Nylander do that playing on the third line? Is he going to get his confidence restored on that line?
Well, yeah, I don't know if the third line is determined. We talked a lot about this. I still think there's a strong chance that Max Domi is the third line center. Whether or not everybody wants him to be, I think that's probably where he's going to end up playing, because I do think, Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner are probably going to end up on a line together, which forces Max Domi down, which likely forces Pontus Holmberg out of the lineup, Max Domi down at third line center. I think that makes some sense, right? If it, playing.
And who do you have on the right side of that line?
You would, I guess, you would keep.
Who's on the right side of the Tavares line?
Remains to be seen.
Yeah, there's a lot of points to be made there. And so once you put Marner back up with Matthews, are you convinced that Bertuzzi's the left winger?
I just think you have to keep – I think that was a big takeaway for me out of the Montreal game, is you have to keep things balanced.
Yeah, sure you do. But that's my point, is people keep wondering about, and we talked about this, Nylander rediscovering his offensive confidence. But really, he's not there for that. That's sort of a stretch out the other team's defense routine where they have to worry about 3 lines instead of 2.
Do you think he can drive?
I think that, yes, in that particular case, I'm going to take his name out of it, but
sure,
because I don't think it really specifically applies to him. But if you've got an offensive winger that you're dropping down, there's a role difference. You're not the same guy. You have to be different.
I think, too, if you're Sheldon Keefe, you also know that, come the third period, if you're down a goal, you move him up.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like, I don't.
I'm surprised we haven't seen more of that, actually, in the last 2 games.
Yeah, maybe you're trying to build Pontus Holmberg up a little bit, and I thought he looked okay tonight. I think it just, to me, the ultimate question is who's going to play third-line center. They don't have, like last year they had Ryan O'Reilly, and that's why it was such an important acquisition.
Yeah, that's huge.
Because they became so deep down the middle. Right, they became so solid,
and they would move him up when they had to.
And I just don't think you can do that yet, right? And that's probably the question that comes out of, next week is once we get into those final 2 games, which some people could argue maybe you rest guys. They did that last year. I know when they went to Tampa right towards the end of the season, they rested Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews. It'll be fascinating to see if they rest Austin Matthews. Just as an aside, I love he scored his 65th goal tonight.
Yeah,
we haven't even talked about it.
No,
that's where,
that's
where we're at.
We've done that a lot this year with him because it's just, it's going to happen.
Would you rest him?
I'm not a big fan of that, although, it's hard to say that now. Look, I'm just going to rhyme this off because it is the schedule. So the Leafs are in New Jersey tomorrow night. We'll be on the air on the network at 6:30, TSN 1050 at 7. Thursday, they're back here against New Jersey. Saturday here against Detroit. Then Tuesday in Florida. Wednesday in Tampa, and that's it. I don't know what is at stake in those Florida-Tampa games. You could actually probably rest him against Detroit if you wanted to, but that's a home game. I'm just not a big fan of that unless there's an issue that we're not aware of as to why you would.
Well, it was interesting last week. Sheldon Keefe said, I don't really care about 70 goals, right? And his concern is making sure his players are in the best spot available for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Austin Matthews cares a lot about 70 goals. A lot. You see the way he celebrated 60. You see, how much these goals mean to him. And look, they turn, the tide of the game for the team.
Oh, absolutely. They benefited big time. Just one more note. There was some conversation about Crosby not starting overtime, and some people didn't understand that. Coach Sullivan says he had a skate issue, so that's why he didn't start the overtime. And here's Austin Matthews and getting it done against the desperate Pittsburgh Penguins team.
Yeah, I just think not a pretty game by any means for both sides. I just thought just staying patient, doing a job in our own end and just trying to find a way through, a slushy game.
What's it like to see Jake McCabe get rewarded offensively after all the work he does on the other end?
Yeah, I mean, he's such a competitor, and he battles every single night for us, especially in D-zone. He's, matching up against top lines and, plays a really, important important role for us. So it's always nice to see guys like that get rewarded on the offensive side.
Obviously, we don't give the face-off wins a ton of attention for other reasons like goals stuff. Just talk about what John's been able to do on the draw all season as usual, and then he wins that cleanly back to you.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big reason why we're, top 3 face-off team in the league, and I just think his veteran presence. He's obviously been around for a while, and it's little things like that he just continues to work on and hone in on, and tries to maximize his capabilities. So, just a nice draw by him, and was able to kind of catch a lead screen there and sneak one by him.
I think 65 is a big number. Obviously ties Ovi's best season ever. Earlier today, Crosby thought it was crazy what you were doing, but he thought you could get to 70. Like, your thoughts on what you achieved today and what Sid said about you?
I mean, it's nice words, obviously, coming from, Sid and just who he is, what he's accomplished. So, I have the utmost respect for him. So, obviously, hearing that, it's very humbling. And, for myself, nothing really changes. It's just one game at a time and trying to go out there and compete and help the team win.
What do you think about Sid at age 36 doing this? Still, he's dangerous every time he touches the puck tonight.
It's incredible, honestly. It's just night in, night out, the consistency. And, it's honestly hard to put into words just what he's been able to do and just how he continues to elevate his game and just willing his team into a position to hopefully make the playoffs. So it's fun to watch and just a testament to his competitiveness and just how he handles himself as a pro every day. It's just really impressive.
What happened on that little collision there, and did you guys share a word there? You're both slow to get up.
Yeah, I think I just tried to get in the lane to block the shot, and my momentum was going that way, and I think his momentum was coming in my way, and I didn't see him until last second. So obviously, it was unintentional, and I just was hoping he was okay. Honestly, I didn't know where I got him, but kind of a bit of a scary moment, bit of a tough 5 minutes there for him there, just all in all. But just was hoping he was okay. It was unintentional.
Bunting seems to have found a home in Pittsburgh, getting off to a good start with him. What's it like going up against him, and all his tricks and all that?
Yeah, I mean, he's a competitor, and he plays his game to a T every night, and he's going to be in guys' faces and trying to create havoc and stuff, and he's effective. So he's a good friend, so I'm happy for him and the success that he's found in Pittsburgh. And you always got to be aware of a guy like that out there because he's effective in numerous of different ways.
That is Austin Matthews. That collision with Sidney Crosby, those are two solid bodies.
Big bodies.
Yeah, thick.
Right, and look, again, I said this before, but we're always looking for new ways to laud Austin Matthews. He doesn't get enough credit for just how big he is and how he uses his size to his advantage. That's something that gets with Sidney Crosby. Runs him over and, gets up fine. It's impressive. It really is. We're always looking for new ways to talk about him. His size doesn't get enough credit. But again, 65 goals, game-breaking, too. His goal tonight, it gives a lot of life to the building, gets the team right back into it.
Nice power play, face-off win, boom.
5 games left, 5 goals to get to 70. And no one would be surprised if he does it. We're talking about a goal a game at a point where he's really, really tired.
The next 3 games, he should get real close to that if he doesn't get there.
Yeah, and you know what? You were talking before about what those games in Florida matter. So the Leafs are now just 3 points behind the Panthers with a game in hand.
Yeah.
It's not unreasonable.
I would expect that's a big game.
That they could catch them. Again, you've got Jersey.
Well, Florida has 4 games left.
The Leafs have a game in hand, yeah. So it's possible. And then if you're Sheldon Keefe, these are the questions you ask, right? That you're at a point in the season where maybe you do want to rest your guys because you figure, well, we're playing Florida anyway. We know where we're at. No one's going to catch Boston.
You're not resting them in that game.
Well, again,
the Tampa game should be meaningless. Should be.
Well, we don't. I mean, that Florida game is Florida's last of the season.
Yeah.
So there's a very good chance there's a very good possibility you're tied with Florida going into that Tampa game. and you need a point to be able to go home. That's what we're talking about.
I know. Well, it's fruitless to say.